the Stanley Cup semifinals. Between the Minnesota North Stars and the Calgary Flames. Brought to you by the $2 billion savings leader, Twin City Federal, serving you from 34 offices. The Metropolitan Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers. We're on the move with a stunning lineup of gas-stingy 81 Chevys. We're your Metropolitan Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers. And by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. On KMSP Television. And now to the Met Center in Bloomington and your announcers Bob Kurtz and Tom Reed.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Met Center here in Bloomington, Minnesota, and game number 6 of the Stanley Cup semifinals. Minnesota North Stars going against the Calgary Flames. The Stars lead the best-of-7 series 3-2. I'm Bob Kurtz along with Tom Reed. Neither one of us want to go back to Calgary on Tuesday.
No, we don't. We'd like to finish it up right here and start the playoffs in the Stanley Cup come Tuesday.
Now, the North Stars took a little bit of a physical beating up in Calgary the other night, losing to the Flames 3-1. There were some words exchanged in the warm-ups tonight.
It's kind of interesting. Even 5 minutes before the game, no one knew who was starting in the game because the visiting coach, Al McNeil, would not reveal his lineup until the very last second. Also, as you mentioned in the warm-up, the players were huddled amongst each other. It looked like there were going to be some fighting going on out there. Kevin Maxwell and Pat Riggin, the goaltender from Atlanta, were involved in a little stick-swinging thing. Nothing really dramatic, but it just kind of shows you the type of feeling that's here between these two clubs right now.
Well, the Flames say they're very confident if they can get a 7th game back in the Stampede Corral. The North Stars, Tom, say they feel very comfortable here at the Met. Is suddenly home ice becoming a big advantage now?
Well, judging by the sound of this crowd right now, it very possibly could be. The North Stars are riding high, but Calgary also. This is a very tough game to get a feeling from either club. I was down in the dressing rooms prior to the game, and you really can't get any indication one way or another. It's a lull before the storm. The players are very, very quiet down there, yet both clubs are very confident.
Well, we are expecting a good one. The Minnesota North Stars against the Calgary Flames will be back for the opening face-off after we take these timeouts. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
But United can bring you low fares to more of this land than anyone. In fact, we're introducing more new fares than ever. We're not the only airline offering discounts, but right now United can save you money to more of this land day and night. No other airline could say that.
Now, for only $149, you can fly United to 8 West Coast cities, including Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, or Portland. Only $149.
Fly the friendly skies.
Maintain a balance of $200 in a pass card checking account at Twin City Federal, and the service is free. What's more, and this is a special feature at TCF, if you drop below that minimum, you are charged only for checks that clear until your balance is restored. Most financial institutions charge for the whole month, even if your balance is low for just one day. You come out ahead at Twin City Federal. Get a TCF pass card checking account. It pays you interest, and it saves you money.
This Bud's for everyone who serves us a hot one. Pops us a cold one.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
This Bud's for you.
American business is being taken over by revolutionaries. Revolutionary Savin copiers. Savin's advancing in New York, surrounding Dallas. Savin's winning over banks and brokerage houses. Why is big business going for Savin in a big way? Because Savins are fast, economical, and remarkably reliable. In fact, last year, Savin outplaced Xerox and IBM combined. So if you haven't noticed the revolution, you will.
CDP says go for the cup, North Stars.
Bob Kurtz and Tom Reed back with you here at the Met. Stanley Cup semifinals. The other series is over. The New York Islanders won 4 straight from the New York Rangers, winning the first game 5-2 on the Island. The second one 7-3 on the Island. The series moved to Madison Square Garden in New York last Saturday for Game 3. The Islanders won that 5-1 and then polished off the Broadway Blues with a 5-2 win Tuesday night, May the 5th. And this one, of course, it is 3-2 for Minnesota. The Stars winning the opening game at Calgary 4-1. Calgary coming back to win game 2, 3-2. LaValle scoring at 6:25 in the third period. That was the game winner. Calgary losing in game 3. The North Stars with an empty net goal from Bobby Smith at the end. Steve Kristoff got the winner in that one as the Stars won 6-4. And it was Minnesota over Calgary 7-4 here at the Met on Tuesday night. People were talking about Calgary exiting in 5 games. That did not happen. The Flames came up with a very strong performance Thursday at Calgary to win it by a score of 3-1. And so we have game number 6 here at the sold-out Metropolitan Sports Arena tonight. If a 7th game is necessary, the North Stars will charter back to Calgary on Monday and play at the Stampede Corral Tuesday night. And there is no one, Tom, in the organization that wants to take that chance.
Well, no one in this organization anyway, Bob. Of course, Calgary, looking at General Manager Cliff Fletcher and the coach Al McNeil before, they want to push Minnesota into a 7th game situation, and they want to have that home ice advantage in Calgary, which has played such a key role for them all year long. They only lost 5 games at home out of 40 games during the course of the season. And, of course, they want to get back into that situation where they can play and have that hometown crowd behind them. But before they can do that, they've got to win this game right here. And the North Stars have no intention of giving this one up. They want to win it right here tonight for their hometown fans.
Well, our officials tonight, this might be a break for the North Stars. Andy Van Helleman, considered one of the better referees in the National Hockey League, if not the best, is calling the game tonight. Ron Finn and Kevin Collins are the linesmen. The North Stars getting a tumultuous greeting from their crowd here at the Met Center as they come on, and we're still awaiting the appearance of the Calgary Flames.
Well, this sometimes is a tactical move by the coaches. The North Stars on the ice first, and Calgary's sitting up there waiting. And I'm sure when they step on the ice, you'll hear just a thunderous roar of boos as the Calgary Flames come on the ice. We are still waiting for them, and here they come right now. We looked as they walk down the ramp from the dressing room. What a feeling it is for the players to be involved in something like this, where the emotions are so high. The coverage from the media, from sportscasters, from broadcasters, from newspaper people, magazine people, from all over the country, both the United States and Canada. They're all here. They're gathered here. The press boxes are full, and we're just about ready here. I know I'm ready for this game. Standing up here, it's a very, very emotional thing for everyone involved who's been associated with the team, been close to them all year long as we have, Bob.
Now, no surprises as far as the scratches. Randy Holt will play again for Calgary tonight. We expect a physical game out of the Flames. Joe Meloche getting the starting call as expected in the nets for the North Stars. Pat Riggin will do likewise for the Calgary Flames. The physical stuff worked for Calgary the other night at the Stampede Corral. They'll have a little more difficult time pulling it off here, Tommy, but I expect them to come out with everything, including the kitchen sink here in the opening period.
Well, they will. Calgary has got to play the same style of game that they played when they were in Calgary. They come out, they played the physical style of things, and they controlled that first period, which is so important. And pretty well throughout the game, they seem to have things in control. The North Stars have got to revamp a little bit. They've got to play just a little bit more physical.
I don't want to blow this thing out of proportion, but it seems the way this series has gone, particularly when you're on home ice, and for Calgary when you're away, the first goal means so much.
Well, it really does. You know, we look at the situation of scoring that first goal. In the games that Minnesota scored the first goal, they have won every game. And I believe that's 6 times they scored the first goal, and they've won 6 games. Calgary, on the other hand, has scored the first goal in 7 games. They have won 6 of those games. The other was won by Minnesota.
Now, as you can see, it's quite a sight at the Met Center tonight. Lots of signs decorating the crowd. Jim Bowers is ready. No one can sing the 2 anthems like he can, so we'll let him kick off Game 6 of the Stanley Cup semifinals. Jimmy?
First, we're going to join Jim Bowers for the singing of the American and Canadian national anthem.
We're going
excitement here in Minnesota. I'm Tom Reed along with Bob Kurtz back for game number 6 between the Minnesota North Stars and the visiting Calgary Flames. And in tonight's game, we're going to have a look at the officials right now. In the center, we look at Andy Van Helleman, and on the left of your screen, one of the senior linesmen, Ron Finnan, on the other side, Kevin Collins. They'll be officiating tonight's game, the men in the zebra jerseys, and we look at the goaltender for Calgary. Pat Riggin, in 10 games, his average is 3.37, giving up 32 goals. He's won 6 and lost 3, and he has played excellently. In the last 89 minutes, he's only given up 2 goals against by Minnesota. And then we look at the veteran netminder, Gilles Meloche. In the 10 games he's played, he's given up 32 goals, 3.09 average. His record is 7-3. We're ready for the play-by-play, and we'll go to Bob Kurtz.
Okay, thank you, Tommy. Fasten your seatbelts, everyone. Here we go. Game number 6, Stanley Cup semifinals. We are underway. And the puck goes into the Calgary zone. Back after it, Paul Reinhardt. Reinhardt goes back behind Riggin. Steering it up now for Willie Flood on the right wing. Watched by Bobby Smith. Off to Poplinski, who does a good job of checking Smith in game 5. Poplinski carries in deep, pumped there by Hartsburg. And back behind the goal, Steve Payne was hit over there by Willie Platt. Puck up along the boards, kept in by Reinhardt. In the corner now, Steve Payne for Minnesota. Getting it down to the Calgary end, and Willie Platt is back to play it at his own line. Getting it out to center ice, picked up by Bobby Smith. Shadowed by Poplinski. Off now for Hartsburg. Back for Brad Maxwell. McMillan tried to keep it in. Could not do so as it comes out to center ice. Russell across for Reinhardt. And then Reinhardt dumps it into the Minnesota zone. Should be icing against Calgary. Touched by Kristoff, and it is. So we're going to get some company for Pat Riggin down in the end for the Flames. We played 48 seconds of the scoreless first period.
Twin City Federal has purchased the broadcast rights of the Minnesota North Stars hockey game solely for the entertainment of our audience. No broadcast, rebroadcast, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and account of this copyrighted telecast is permitted without written authority of Twin City Federal, the Minnesota North Stars, or KMSP Television.
We do have a delegation from Calgary here. It is not large. They are located a little further down from the Calgary bench. There's a look at Pat Riggin, and a lot of pressure, obviously, on that young man. He has played brilliantly.
He really has. Calgary, you talk about their fans, they have about 150 fans who came down here early this morning. There was 117 on one flight, and they had a few more on another flight. Talking to Cliff Fletcher, he says that the fans have supported them all year long in that city, and, well, they should have. They only have a seating capacity of about 6,400, plus standing room a little over 7,000. A small building, but they have been out. That place has been sold out all year.
Kevin Maxwell is centering Jack Carlson and Ken-Eric Anderson. Kenta keeping the puck in for Minnesota. Carlson across for Maxwell. Maxwell off balance. And Pekka Radicalio now plays it for Calgary out to center ice. Almost freed Swinar on the breakaway, but that was broken up by Gordy Roberts. Roberts plays it to an open wing. It goes into the Calgary zone. This will be icing against the North Stars. And we've now played 1 minute and 11 seconds of a scoreless first period. The Stars and the Calgary Flames.
It was interesting. You saw there in just the first minute or so, Calgary trying to get the puck behind their net, the defense, and they had McMillan breaking out behind the Minnesota defense. And fortunately, Gordy Roberts able to anticipate that pass coming up and was able to stop that puck. Otherwise, McMillan would have had a clear-cut breakaway, and that first goal is so important in this series between these two hockey clubs.
Face-off is to the left of Meloche. Still Maxwell between Anderson and Carlson. Don Lieber out there for Calgary on the draw. And off the face-off, it goes on net, saved by Meloche, and back behind the goal, that's Kurt Giles. Swinar, you can see, standing out in front. Giles now getting it down the ice, and going back after it for the Flames will be Pekka Radicalio. He goes back behind the goal, ridden out there by Ken-Eric Anderson. Here comes Calgary as Lieber heads it up to center ice. On the left wing now for Swinar. Swinar pulls up inside the North Star zone, off for McMillan. Big save by Meloche. And Kevin Maxwell will play the carom for the North Stars. Out for Ken-Eric Anderson, freewheeling across the Calgary line. Overskating the puck, back for Maxwell, off for McCarthy. He did not handle the pass, and the Flames get it out to center. Donnie McCarthy now for the North Stars. As the puck goes into the Minnesota zone, stopped by Meloche, and back to get it goes Greg Smith.
I think McCarthy thought that one of his own teammates was behind. He just left the puck right there, and it was intercepted by Calgary. This is a game you can't try to anticipate something going to happen like that. You've got to make sure.
Bobby Smith comes out for Minnesota, and immediately Jim Poplinski, number 24, on the ice for the Calgary Flames. 17:46 to go here at a scoreless first period. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
Within every soul, there exists the need to be free.
town himself. It's the music of a newfound freedom. It's hitching a free ride with Minnesota's best rock. KQ 92 FM.
Tom Reed and Bob Kirk back here at the Met in Bloomington, Minnesota. No score in this first period between Calgary and the North Stars.
Any trend so far in the first 2 minutes and 20 seconds of the game?
What's going to happen is first few minutes, the Cubs are going to play it very close. There's going to be some good hard hits. That's expected. And what the teams have to realize is they can't take the chance of opening up a great deal. Bob, they're going to stick to the men pretty close. They don't want to give the other team any life whatsoever. So you'll see the wingers sticking pretty close pretty well the whole game.
How about the battle we have going on out there, Tommy? Comment on Bobby Smith and Jim Kaplinski.
Kaplinski's done a great job on Bobby Smith. And the last game in Calgary, that line of Kaplinski just stayed on the Bobby Smith line the entire game and didn't really give them a chance to get to unwind themselves. Every time they tried to make a move, they were thwarted by skates, by sticks, by bodies, whatever it was. That's the kind of style that Calgary has to play against that line to be successful.
This is Poplinski now, clearing it to the North Star line, broken up by Greg Smith and backhanded into the flame zone. Back to get it goes Phil Russell. Russell circling at his own end, shadowed there by Cicerelli. Puck to center. Greg Smith had it broken free by LaValle. Off for Poplinski. Poplinski cuts in. And the centering pass then was broken up by Greg Smith, and here come the Stars back the other way. Dino took a hard hit over there from Russell, then gave Russell a hit from behind. Poplinski moves in, and we got our first breakers in the game.
Well, it didn't take very long. What happened there was that the play came in, and Russell hit Cicerelli, and then Dino come in from behind, hit Russell from behind, and that brought in the Calgary players. The official, Andy Van Hillman, is going to have his work cut out for him here tonight. We look at right there, you can see Maxwell and Bobby Murdoch and Poplinski trying to get in there as well. And Cicerelli, and the emotions are so high at this point. Believe me, the players, I mean, they'll go through the boards if they had to. Al McNeil up on the bench looking down. Hartsburg, and you can see the shoving going on here yet. Andy Van Hillman in charge here, and believe me, one of the good officials. We have Bruce Hood last game, and Andy Van Hillman this game. You couldn't ask for two better fellows to do the officiating for you.
It looks like everything is going to be broken up. We're going to get a face-off coming up to the left of Reagan. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
I've always hoped that someday they'd have a Bob Lurchma Day. You know, like they have for all the superstars. Well, it finally came true. I may not be a superstar, but I'm a super saver at TCF. I sure like the help I get from those Twin City Federal folks. So thank you, TCF, for helping me save and making Bob Lurchma Day possible. At least you'd think my wife and kids would show up.
3 minutes and 8 seconds gone in this first period. We're scoreless here in Bloomington.
Neil Broughton, Kristoff, and Palmer, the forward line for the North Stars. Maxwell and Hartsburg on the defense. Hartsburg now ahead for Neil Broughton. Broughton off for Maxwell. Maxwell dumps it into the Calgary zone. Stopped by Riggin behind the goal, off for Paul Reinhardt. Reinhardt hit a player with it. The puck popped up in the air and fell on the net back behind Riggin. And had that rolled across the net, obviously, and hit Riggin in the back and trickled in.
They all count regardless of how they're scored. Minnesota has not had a shot on Riggin as yet. Calgary, meanwhile, has had 3 shots so far in this first period. And there's, look, you saw number 7, Randy Holt, getting out there. More of the physical type of player he wanted to play last game. He says, they need me out there because of my physical attributes. He went out there, did a superb job for me. He doesn't handle the puck that well. He made a couple of nice plays, but he did the job he was meant to be called upon to do, and that's to play the physical end of things.
Play back in the Calgary zone. That's Holt trying to get it past Maxwell. Fails to do so. And Brad Marsh swings it along the boards now for Willie Plett on the right side. Plett losing it for Brad Palmer. Palmer now for the North Stars. Tried to get it across for Kristoff. It was tipped by Plett. Kept up. Wasn't kept in by Hartsburg. Craig Sand on it. And Brad Maxwell goes back to his own line. Maxey carries across the Calgary line. Maxey dropping it back now for Palmer. Palmer, the shot, and Riggin got a pad on it. There's a break now for Calgary. Too far for LaValle, though. Broken up by Hartsburg. Off for Palmer. Palmer is tripped, and a penalty coming up here, I believe, against Reinhardt of the Calgary Flames. And the time of the penalty will be 3 minutes and 59 seconds, and it will be the North Stars that will have the initial power play.
Well, Reinhardt's going to go, and that's the first penalty of this hockey game. The North Stars have scored on 26.7% of their power play advantage. They've scored 16 goals out of 60 times they've had the advantage. Meanwhile, Calgary has killed off 43 penalties against them out of 60 for a 71.7. They're a little bit shy of what they had during the season at 80.8. Reinhardt gets the gate at 3:59. Minnesota's first power play opportunity and first of the game.
Bobby Smith out there with Steve Payne, Al McAdam, Craig Hartsburg, and Brad Maxwell. Bill Clement.
That was a hooking call, by the way, against Reinhardt.
Will go on the draw against Bobby Smith. Let's take another look at it, Tommy.
You watch Palmer here. He cuts to his left, and in comes Reinhardt, the defenseman. Reinhardt makes a good play by forcing him, but right there he just pulls him a little bit too much, and the referee, Andy Van Helmen, makes the call.
And also see where you get the hook rather than the trip. We played 3:59 of the scoreless first period. The North Stars, the Calgary Flames, game number 6. The 7th game, if necessary, Tuesday in Calgary. Should the Stars win, game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals Tuesday night from Uniondale, Long Island. Brad Maxwell going across the line, sending the puck along the board. Steve Payne over on the left wing in position for the North Stars. Knocked away, though, by Russell. Payne gets a second chance, fanned on that one. And then Bill Clement, who's an excellent penalty killer, backhands it all the way down the ice. Brad Maxwell going back behind Gil Malash. Maxey now will start out for Minnesota. Carrying across his own line, pass too far on the right side from McAdam. McAdam going after it along with Marsh. Al back behind the goal. Off now to Bobby Smith, back for Hartsburg on the left point. Over now to Brad Maxwell, back for Hartsburg. Hartsburg takes the shot, hit traffic out in front of him, Payne pushed it wide. Bobby Smith now for Minnesota. 1:15 left in the extra man. Smith drops it back for Maxwell. Maxwell lets her go. It's deflected wide. Hartsburg keeping it in. Off now for Bobby Smith, and Hislop got between them and sends it all the way down the ice for the Calgary Flames. 1 minute now left in the penalty time to Reinhardt.
You watch Maxwell. He gets that puck from the point, and the forwards are moving right in towards that net. They're trying to get a deflection or a rebound because Maxey's great at getting that puck in that area.
Cicerelli tried to cut it on the right side. Murdoch took care of him, and Bill Clement gets the puck and clears it all the way down the ice. 45 seconds. Now remaining in the penalty time to Reinhardt. That's Craig Hartsburg dropping off for Kurt Giles. Giles getting it ahead now on the left wing for Kristoff. Kristoff, Broughton, and Cicerelli are the forwards as the puck climbs the glass and goes into the crowd. 34 seconds left in the penalty time to Reinhardt. 14:35 remaining here in a scoreless first period.
The guy there with the cowboy hat and the North Star jersey on. I don't know what team he's rooting for.
Right down the middle. No doubt who that man is rooting for. And there's the penalty time left to Reinhardt. Kurt Giles now for Minnesota. Head for Neil Broughton. There's a 3-on-2 across the Calgary line. Dino Cicerelli missed the net. Roberts took a shot. That was blocked. It comes out to center. And Kurt Giles scoots back to pick it up for Minnesota. Cicerelli with 22 shots has more shots on goal than anybody else in the series. Dino dumps it in. There's just 15 seconds now left in Reinhardt's penalty. The play is in the Calgary zone. Kristoff in the right corner for Minnesota. Kristoff getting it back for Giles. Giles takes the shot. Riggin makes the save with Broughton standing in front. Still 3 seconds left. Kristoff tried to play it back for Giles. That was broken up by Don Lieber. Reinhardt is back, and Calgary is at full strength as play now goes in the North Star zone. Giles back, icing against the Flames. We've passed now the 6-minute mark of the first period. The North Stars and the Calgary Flames are scoreless.
In quick Payne on the Flames. Well, no question that Stevie Payne has had a great playoff round starting right in Boston. Trying to figure out what exactly that was. But anyway, you know, in the last 89 minutes of action against the North Stars, Pat Riggin of the Flames has only allowed 2 goals, one in the last 29 minutes of action after he replaced Jean Lemlin in Game 4 and one in Calgary victory on Thursday night. He stopped 51 of 55 shots. His overall record in this series is 2 wins, 2 losses, and a goal against average is 2.9, which is pretty good. He stopped 147 out of the 160 Minnesota shots in the 5 appearances that he has taken part in this series.
There's the face-off, as you can see, coming over to the right side. Clement going against Maxwell on the draw. Stars keep it in. Bob Murdoch sends the puck along the boards. After for Minnesota, Freddie Barrett battling Kent Nilsson. Freddie puts it back behind the net for Ken-Eric Anderson. Kent out in front, broken up by Radicalio. Here come the Flames. Ahead now for Nilsson. Nilsson drops it off for Kenny Houston. Houston watched there by Greg Smith. Tried to drop it back. That was broken up by Freddie Barrett. Steady Freddie getting it ahead for Ken Eric Anderson. Anderson along with Kevin Maxwell. And back to break it up, Kent Nilsson. Losing it again to Anderson. Anderson across the line in the corner now for McCarthy. Bumped by Murdoch. Up along the boards for Maxwell. He's ridden out over there by Houston. Kept in by Kenta, but not for long, as his countryman from Sweden. Nilsson got it back out to center ice, and it came back in and trapped McCarthy offside. 13-12 remaining here first period. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Mets.
Light beer, Mr. Bonaconti. And I switched to natural light. You switched from that other light beer? Yeah, I think natural light's got the taste that leaves them all in the backfield.
You bet, and there's nothing artificial in this less-filling beer. It's made with only natural ingredients.
The real point is taste. Besides, since I switched to natural light, I'm making a name for myself.
Hey, Nick Bonaconti! Where? I know him.
Natural light. Taste is why you'll switch.
We are back here at the Met Center. We want to send anniversary greetings to Jim Moline and his wife Nancy. Jim working out in the truck. He's our producer tonight. They've been married 10 years today. Jim, hurry up, get this game done, get home.
Also, there was a couple married today. Mr. and Mrs. Patrick Burns were married today, and we extend our best wishes to them. They're at their reception, I would think, but watching the hockey game.
Marsh can't clear the zone. McAdam now keeps it in for Minnesota. Randy Holt comes back, number 7, to take it away. Slaps it off the boards up on the other side. Kept in by Maxwell with a shot just deflected wide by Al McAdam. And then Willie Plett gets it ahead now for Randy Holt. Holt, Plett, and Poplinski are the forward line. Payne battling Poplinski. Buck stays out in the neutral zone. Here comes Payne along with Bobby Smith. Smith going across the Calgary line. Takes the shot deflected wide by Marsh. Plett ridden out over there by Steve Payne. Comes off now. Buck picked up by Murdoch. Murdoch getting it out to center ice to Holt. Holt back for Poplinski. He was knocked flying by Hartsburg. Malash comes to dock it away from Holt. Holt now dropping it back. Shot from the point by Reinhardt was deflected wide and picked up now by McAdam. McAdam out for Bobby Smith at center, who's tied up by Marsh. Reinhardt comes up at the front. Crowd wants a penalty call for interference. They're not going to get it. Here's a break for Reinhardt, but back to take him out of the play is Steve Kristoff. Nice move by Craig Hartsburg. Ahead for Palmer. Palmer, Bobby Smith with Marsh back. Palmer, a drive, and Reagan closes the legs and holds on for the Flames, and the face-off will come to the right of the Calgary goal.
Well, we're getting chances at both ends here. Calgary had a couple of good chances. The Minnesota defense getting a little bit confused out there, running into each other. And just, I'm sure, some of the butterflies are still inside them there. But the Minnesota broke in. They had a chance on the far side. Bobby Smith was breaking in, but he was very quickly caught by the Calgary defender, who took him right into the goal crease area, and the shot was just trapped by Riggin. He's not giving up anything he doesn't have to.
Stars are changing now, sending out Broughton and Kristoff to join Brad Palmer. Gordy Roberts and Kurt Giles are the defensive pairing. And there's the face-off coming up to the right side of that Calgary goal.
You're going to see these goaltenders hanging on to everything.
Calgary breaks out. Bobby McMillan at center ice, who had 2 goals the other night in Game 5, dumping it to the corner. Lever going back along with Giles. They crash in there. Puck comes loose. Broughton had it briefly. Now Russell keeping it in for the Flames. McMillan was knocked down. There's going to be an interference call coming up here against the North Stars. Play whistled down with 11 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in what has so far been a scoreless first period. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Mets.
With pass card checking, all the accounts you'll ever need are at Twin City Federal. Save up nest egg money with a pass card passbook account. Take care of short-term investments with 6-month money market certificates, $10,000 minimum. Build for the future with 2.5-year money market certificates, $100 minimum. Earn 5.25% on checking account money and write checks to anyone. From now on, TCF for all the accounts you'll ever need.
Gordy Roberts picks up a penalty for interference at 8:19. This is Calgary's first power play opportunity. Look at Gordy Roberts as he sits in the penalty box and contemplates that penalty. A very tough position to be in, especially in a game that is so important like this one. Calgary has scored 15 times on 68 power play opportunities in the playoff for a 22.1% average. The North Stars have killed off 75% of their shorthand situations.
Calgary with the puck in the Minnesota zone. The Valley shot was deflected back behind the goal. And out of play. And the faceoff will come in the Minnesota zone. 1:52 left in the penalty time to Roberts. 11:33 remaining here first period.
One of the things Calgary has to guard against is the goal-scoring ability of the North Stars when they are a man short. They have scored 5 shorthanded goals in the playoffs so far this year in 13 games. And the Flames have given up 4 shorthanded goals. So we've got to take a little extra time back there. They're using 2 defensemen on the point for Calgary.
Radicalio and Reinhardt are the 2. Broughton gets the puck, slams her down the ice. And the Flames will have to go back and retrieve it with 1:45 now left in the penalty time to Roberts. That's Radicalio back behind the net for the Calgary Flames. Neil Broughton and Ken-Eric Anderson, the forwards on this penalty-killing unit, as Kent Nilsson goes across the line. Broughton got a stick on it. And then Greg Smith sends it back into the Calgary zone. And Radicalio swings back to pick it up. 1:25 to go in the penalty time to Roberts. Off for Reinhardt. Reinhardt pass picked off by Palmer, stopped by Nilsson. Palmer gets it again. And finally Houston got in the way for Calgary. Off for Reinhardt, taken away by Kevin Maxwell. Here's Kevin Maxwell with Radicalio back. Kevin Maxwell cutting in out in front. Picked away there by Riggin. Palmer going after the loose puck. Palmer comes up with it, rides it out to center ice, and then knocks it back into the Calgary zone. 59 seconds left in the extra man.
Palmer is playing with a lot of confidence in himself. He's just a young kid, has not had a lot of NHL action, but he has just got a lot of poise out there.
Houston for Schweenar. That pass did not connect. Up with it, Kevin Maxwell failed to clear the zone. McMillan keeps it in. Off for Schweenar. Schweenar watched by Maxwell. Out in front. Here's a break for McMillan. Oh, over the top of the net. Malash was down. McMillan fired over the top of the goal. 30 seconds left in the power play for the Calgary Flames. McMillan back behind the net, out in front, stopped by Malash. Big collision out there. And everything waved down by referee Andy Van Helleman.
Well, McMillan has got to be talking, so that's the fourth time that Calgary has failed to score into a wide open net. And I'm not sure if he shot it over the net or whether it deflected off of Craig Hartsford's stick. But we'll pick it up right here. Watch the play. All right, this is where it comes now. Watch Hartsey. He dives right here. And as the shot is taken, I still can figure it may have been the stick or the helmet or whatever, but anyway, it missed the net. We're still scoreless here. We've got 10:07 remaining in the first period.
Face-off coming up to the left of Malash. 10 minutes and 7 seconds to go in the first period, which is scoreless. And there are 26 seconds left in the penalty time to Gordy Roberts. Off the draw, Greg Smith has it for the Stars. Plays it to the corner. After it goes Ken-Eric Anderson. Kenta battling Phil Russell over there. Russell comes up with the puck for the Flames. Dropping it back off now for Schweenar. Schweenar whips it across for Radicalio. A shot. That deflects wide. Now Schweenar. Keeping an eye on him. Ken-Eric Anderson. 7 seconds to go in the penalty time. Schweenar had the thing tipped and then fires over the top of the net. Greg Smith goes after the rebound. He's bumped over there by McMillan. Gordy Roberts is back. The North Stars are at full strength as the puck is cleared down into the Calgary zone. It'll be icing against Minnesota as Russell goes back and touches it. And we got 9:30 now remaining here first period. The Stars and Flames are scoreless. Pat Riggin with a view from the end. Glad to see Malash under pressure for once. The shots on goal, by the way, 4 for the Flames and 3 for the North Stars thus far here in the early going.
And each team has had a power play situation, but unable to get anything by either goaltender. The North Stars have outscored the Flames 20-15 after the first 5 games of this series, with a period scoring coming. Minnesota has scored 6 goals in the first period. Calgary has scored 5. Minnesota in the second period 7, compared to Calgary 6. And in the third period, Minnesota 7 by Calgary 4.
McCarthy's shot was deflected by the Calgary defenseman. It goes into the crowd.
We've got a fight going down here in front of the Calgary bench. It's Randy Holt, and I did not pick up the other individual involved. I was watching the play on the far side. Randy Holt was brought in to be the tough guy, and apparently that's what he's trying to prove here right now. But we'll try and pick it up and see who it is.
It's like Gordy Roberts, I believe. Words still being exchanged, and again, we expect a lot of this all night long. Holt and Cicerelli are now exchanging greetings. And Kevin Collins is telling Holt to get back.
I think he's a little upset. I get that idea anyway. He's now going to the penalty box, and it is Gordy Roberts going to the penalty box.
So Roberts skates off for Minnesota. Holt will go off for Calgary. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
Pass card checking is in the news at Twin City Federal. The minimum balance for free service has been reduced from $800 to $200. If you drop below that minimum, you are charged only for checks that clear until your balance is restored. Open your account for as little as $100. Earn 5.25%. Sign up now at any Twin City Federal office. And remember, there's no service charge at all for senior citizens.
Well, a look at Gordy Roberts. He picked up 5 minutes for fighting along with number 7 of Calgary, Randy Holt. And it doesn't look like there was any damage done by either player in that altercation in front of the Calgary bench. It was behind the play. And as a result, both teams will have a man in the penalty box, but they will not play shorthanded because of the major penalties that were imposed on them at the same time.
Bobby Smith out there centering Tom McCarthy on the left, Dino Cicerelli on the right, Hartsburg and Maxwell, the defenseman, back for Hartsburg. Hartsburg takes a shot, hits the goalpost.
Archie's got that shot of his. It's a little deceptive sometimes. You don't quite know if it's going to break a little bit or not, but he took that shot, and it just hit the pipe, and I don't think Reagan saw it at all. He didn't move until it clanged.
And he knew which direction to move in. Marsh tries to ride it out. Maxwell keeps it in, but then it's skated out to center ice by Ken Houston. Houston and Hislop come across the North Star line. Meloche to save. The rebound poked just wide by Kenny Houston. Houston trying a centering pass. Poplinski was knocked flying by McCarthy. He's going to get an interference call. And then Poplinski dumps McCarthy again, and here we go.
And it looked like maybe a high sticking penalty against McCarthy. And the referee, Andy Van Helman, right there, and Poplinski and McCarthy almost got into it. We'll wait and see if they'll have any extra penalties on that. The penalties will come at 11:15 of this first period. We're still scoreless here in Minnesota.
That'll be the third penalty against Minnesota for a total of 9 minutes. There's Andy Van Helman. He's in for a long night, I think, and there's the penalty area.
Tom McCarthy for high sticking on Poplinski, and that's when Poplinski came back and tried to give McCarthy a little shot, but no additional penalties called on that particular play. So Minnesota will play shorthanded here again in this first period.
Shots on goal, 6 for the Flames, 4 for the North Stars. Guy Schweenar, Bobby McMillan, Willie Plett, Radicalio, and Reinhardt on the power play unit for the Flames. Freddie Barrett, Ken-Eric Anderson, Greg Smith, and Neil Broughton out there for Minnesota. Off the faceoff, Meloche makes the save, gives it off for Ken-Eric Anderson. Kenta comes to center. Now Kenta going across the Calgary line, trying to get past Reinhardt. Reinhardt takes him down. Into the corner goes Broughton, tying up Schweenar. Puck comes loose, off for Big Willie Plett. Now Plett sailing with it out to center ice, off for Radicalio. Radicalio dumps it into the North Star end. Greg Smith goes back after it along with Plett. Off for Broughton. Bothered there by Schweenar. Comes back now to Reinhardt. Reinhardt watched by Broughton. Over for Radicalio. Radicalio right along the North Star line. Off for McMillan, who did not handle the pass cleanly. McMillan to the corner, bumped by Barrett. Puck goes loose. Greg Smith after it along with Schweenar. And Smith cranks it all the way down the ice. We've now reached the 12-minute mark here in this scoreless first period.
Willie Plett is putting himself once again in front of that Minnesota net. That's where he's been effective on all the games except for one, which he did not do it in, and he's causing the Minnesota defense a little bit of disruption in there.
And missed the net, Plett did, from the far side, and as Tommy has told you, you do it from there, it'll come all the way down, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, the thing is, you want to control the puck on that end, and to shoot wide and force it all the way back, you're killing the clock off for the other team.
48 seconds left in the penalty time to McCarthy. Offside on the right side was Reinhardt, and Finn finally blew the whistle.
No, he didn't. He's still going.
They're offside. The North Stars will take it as Palmer clears it down the ice. You can see that one up here. It's blatant.
What's blatant mean?
Obvious. Houston dumping it into the Minnesota zone. After it now goes Maxwell. Maxwell watched by Nilsson. Nilsson dropping it off for Schweenar. Schweenar back for Reinhardt. 19 seconds left in the penalty time. Comes over for Radicalio. Radicalio with a shot. Hit traffic. That being Houston. Off for Ken-Eric Anderson, and then Kenta backhands it all the way down the ice, which should just about do it. 8 seconds left, 7 seconds now in the penalty time to McCarthy, as Reinhardt starts out from back behind the net. Off now for Kenny Houston to Poplinski. Poplinski going across the line. He was dumped. The North Stars are back in full strength. Now out to center ice. Tommy McCarthy was stopped there by Russell. Back the other way goes Bobby Gould. Gould into the Minnesota end, fanned on the shot, and Bobby Smith back to pick it up for Minnesota.
Well, you saw Greg Smith there. He just keyed in on Gould. He wouldn't allow him to get by him. Gould lost the puck, and he just couldn't get the shot away because Greg Smith was right on top of him. And we're going to have an interference call now against Bobby Gould and interfering on Al McAdam. Al was trying to get to the puck, and Calgary will be shorthanded.
Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
American Tourister has just kicked off a great luggage sale.
Okay, we're back. There's a look at Phil Russell. He's going to be one of the defensemen who's going to be killing off that penalty against Bobby Gould. You can see number 19 there, called for the third penalty for Calgary for 9 minutes, and that penalty comes at 13:40. We're still scoreless here in the first period, and we've got 6:20 to count down to in this first period, and it's been a pretty good first period. It's been very, very close all the way through. Close checking. The guys are not going to give up any more than they have to. Calgary has outshot Minnesota by a 7-4 margin so far. Here's the replay once again. McAdam doesn't have the puck, and that's the reason for the interference call.
Face-off will come to the left side of Pat Riggin. Still no score in the game. Smith entering Payne and McAdam. Brad Maxwell and Craig Hartsburg are the defensemen and the point men on the power play unit for Minnesota. Off the draw now. Stars keep it in. Painter getting it back now for Brad Maxwell. Maxwell back for Bobby Smith. Smith back for Maxey. Maxey tees her up, lets her go. That was deflected. It's loose. They score! McAdam, a power play goal. At 13:52, and the Stars lead 1-0.
Well, that's what I was talking about, the Minnesota players being in front of that net. The shot by Maxwell was deflected in front of the Calgary, or in front of the Calgary net. We'll pick it up once again. Bobby Smith gives it back to Brad. He lets the shot go just to the left of number 10 Clement, and the rebound coming into Stevie Payne. It was wide open for him. He got it over to McAdam just a little bit. He deflects it right here. You can see going between the legs of Phil Russell, off the skate of McAdam, and bingo, it's in the net to give the North Stars a 1-0 lead. That goal coming at 13:53.
13:52, the time of the power play goal, while Gould was off for interference. And we got penalty. Steve Payne going off for Minnesota, and Willie Flood apparently will be getting the gate for the Calgary Flames. Well, we're writing down the goals. Action continues on the ice. Gordy says hello to Painter. Roughing will be the call against both Payne and Plett. 4 penalties aside now for a total of 11 minutes. .57 the time of the penalty. So lots of writing up here in the booth. The North Stars have the 1 goal on the scoreboard down below us, and they lead 1-0. There's a look at Pat Riggin. Off the face-off now. Play going into the Minnesota end. And back to get it goes Brad Maxwell. Maxwell for the Stars. Stick handling in his own zone. Heading it out for Bobby Smith at center ice. Swept away by Reinhardt. Smith gets it back again, however. Hit by Murdoch. And Don Lever clears the zone for Calgary and sends it down into the Minnesota end with Craig Hartsburg in pursuit. Hartsburg carries to center. Right wing pass for McAdam. McAdam goes across the line. Drops it back for Hartsburg. Hartsburg for Bobby Smith. Broken up. Here's a break for Calgary. Lever cutting in. Takes the shot. Malash makes the save. And back to pick it up goes Hartsburg. Hartsburg off for Bobby Smith. Smith along with Dino Cicerelli. This is Dino down the right side. Dino bumped over there by Murdoch. Buck back behind the goal. Lever knocks it to the corner. And up with it comes Paul Reinhardt. Reinhardt heading it out for Poplinski. Hops his stick. Stopped by Greg Smith. Now Smith clearing it back in, wide of the goal. Steered to the corner by Riggin. Reinhardt back against Dino Cicerelli. Dino back behind the goal. Tried to play it out in front. He was stopped by Riggin. On the left wing now for Calgary, Don Lever. Lever off for Jim Poplinski. Poplinski comes to center, hit by Barrett. Lost the puck to Greg Smith. They lasso each other there in the corner, and Barrett comes up with the puck behind the goal.
This is the kind of game that you cannot afford to retaliate just for the sake of getting someone back. You've got to bide your time. The win is far more important than getting a guy back, especially in a game that's so important like this.
In the corner, Russell digs the puck free for the Flames. Takes a big hit from McCarthy. Into the corner, Greg Smith against Nilsson. Nilsson dumps it to center as he saw Smith coming like a runaway freight train. And off the bench to take a pass there is Palmer. And play whistle down on a two-line pass.
We're going to be called for too many men. Player was coming on the ice as one was coming off, and the officials, two of them, signaled the penalty for too many men against Minnesota.
Well, that'll be the 5th penalty against the North Stars for 13 minutes. It was a two-line pass anyway. It came from inside the North Star zone, crossed the center red line. 16:40 will be the time of the penalty. Stars with a bench penalty for too many men.
Too many men. Stevie Kristoff will be serving the penalty.
So Kristoff, who just completed his shift, will take a 2-minute breather. The Stars will have to try and kill off another Flames power play. Dino the Dinosaur resting in the stands. 15:40 the time of the penalty. I think I said 16:40.
It's 1-0 here. Power play goal by Al McAdam, his 8th goal of the playoffs. Brad Maxwell with his 7 assists, and Steve Payne with his 9th.
This is Kent Nilsson. A Medition with the puck, getting it back now for Paul Reinhardt. Reinhardt walks in off for Radicalio, who is cut off on his lane to the goal by Brad Maxwell. Radicalio, the shot, a save by Malash, rebound. Comes controlled by Nilsson now. Nilsson getting it over for Radicalio. Radicalio, the shot and a save there, was let down out in front by Malash.
Well, Nilsson's the kind of guy you don't want to give him any room because he will just stick handle around you all night long. You've got to play him as close as you possibly can.
Don't forget, if you're interested in North Star season tickets for next year, a $50 deposit will hold those tickets for you till next season. You'll be given a discount off the regular price, and the number to call, 853-9340. Come out and see the Stars often in 1981-82. 10 shots on goal for Calgary, 6 for Minnesota. One of the few times I can recall in this series the Flames have had the edge on the shot clock. They're not that type of team, but the Stars right now have the lead on the scoreboard 1-0. There's a minute 32 left in the penalty time to Kristoff. Both Payne and Plett have returned.
We talk about shots. Minnesota has outshot Calgary 185 to 158 after the first 5 games of this series, including a 68-43 margin in the first period.
Kurt Giles will be Tom's special guest during our first intermission. Tim Young during the second. Stopped there by Reagan. Reagan knocks it back behind the goal for Reinhardt. After it in the corner goes Ken-Eric Anderson. Puck comes out to center. Now Hartsburg will pull up for Minnesota. Drop it off for Kenta. Kenta dragging some time off, carrying into the Calgary zone. Anderson still with the puck across for Broughton. Broughton had turned the wrong way. And picking it up now, Reinhardt, and going back behind the goal with a minute 4 left in the manpower advantage.
Well, what Broughton was doing there, he was just backing up Anderson in case he had a problem. He cut just at the right time to make sure that he wouldn't be picked up.
Here comes Hartsburg. Hartsburg off now, cutting in, a backhander by Broughton, and a save by Reagan. Broughton on the rebound was stopped.
That was a double save. He came in on that far side, and Reagan just hung right onto that pipe. He wouldn't let that first one in, nor the second one.
Puck knocked away from Schweenar. Schweenar comes back to center for the Flames. Broken up at the Minnesota line by Greg Smith and sent back in to the Calgary zone. 28 seconds now left in the penalty time to the Minnesota bench, served by Kristoff. As the pass goes on the left wing for Lever. Lever at center ice, off for Kevin Lavallee. Lavallee cutting in. Greg Smith back to break that up. It's offside anyway. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining here. Scoreless first period. 20 seconds left in the bench penalty.
It's 1-0 in this first period.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Rem Blair shall say, okay, come on, guys, we got to tie this game up. And we turn around and say, Ren, it is tied. And he says, well, when did we score? You mean they counted it? There was a big explosion went off here just to our right down here. And everyone's looking to find out where it took place. I think somebody's got some little games up here.
I think it's not like a firecracker. Play going back into the Calgary end now, and back to play it goes Phil Russell with 2:25 remaining here in the period. 5 seconds now left in the penalty time to Kristoff. Kevin Lavallee. Lavallee skating at center, watched there by Palmer. Poked free by Palmer to Stars. Now back at full strength. As play goes into the Calgary zone again, and Radicalio circles in his own end. Heads it up for Houston. Houston hands it right for Greg Smith. Smith clears it to an open wing. And the puck played over there finally by Lavallee of Calgary and backhanded into the North Star end. We've reached the 18-minute mark here in the first period. 1-0 Stars. Icing is the call against the Calgary Flames. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
Free.
Now
at McDonald's, get a Papermate Wright Brothers pen. Buy any McDonald's breakfast food item like scrambled eggs, sausage and hash browns, hot cakes and pure pork sausage, or a tasty Egg McMuffin. So march in for your Papermate Wright Brothers pen. With any breakfast food purchase at participating McDonald's.
Bob Kurtz and Tom Reed back here at the Met Center, 1-0 North Stars. Face-off coming up to the left side of Pat Riggin. The Stars lead 3-2. They lead here 1-0 in Game 6. Back for Giles. Giles takes a shot, and that was blocked by Randy Holt. Giles going back after it, and will pick up the loose puck in his own zone. Watched by Platt, off for Gordy Roberts. Now Roberts to center, golfing it into the Calgary zone. Stopped there by Riggin. Riggin steers to the corner. Palmer's there for Minnesota. Takes a hit from Murdoch. Schweenar now for the Flames. Clearing it up for Lever. Lever getting it across his own line to center. Lever taken out of the play by Giles. They're very aware of where Kurt Giles is on that ice. Off now for Kristoff. Kristoff, stick handling out of his own zone. Off for Palmer at center ice. Palmer along with Broughton and Roberts. Palmer having some difficulty there with Bobby McMillan. Puck is picked up now by Schweenar. Back for Lever, and that was broken up neatly by Neil Broughton, who came back. Now Broughton carrying offensively, going across the Calgary line. Broughton dumps it back behind the goal. Marsh bumped by Kristoff with 1:10 left here in the first period. And the face-off will come to the right side of Pat Riggin. Kurt Giles will be Tom's special guest during the first intermission. Tim Young during intermission number 2. Again, if a 7th game is necessary, it will be played in Calgary on Tuesday night. Broadcast time will be 8 o'clock here in the Twin Cities. If the Stars win tonight, it'll be Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals Tuesday night from the Nassau Coliseum. Broadcast time 7 o'clock on Channel 9. There's a shot from Hartsburg that went wide off the faceoff. Randy Holt now for Calgary, back behind the goal. Bobby Smith couldn't handle it, and it goes for Platt. Platt was stopped there by Steve Payne. Bobby Smith picks up the loose puck, dropping it off now for Maxwell. Maxwell walking in, takes the shot. Riggin to save. Payne the rebound, it went wide. Payne still with the puck, dropping it back for Hartsburg. Hartsburg the shot. That hit traffic out in front. Marsh goes after it, knocks it to the corner, shadowed by McAdam. Stars trying to dig it free, but finally coming up with the puck is Poplinski of Calgary. Poplinski carrying out to center ice into the Minnesota zone, watched by Hartsburg. Back behind the goal, and in the corner after it goes Brad Maxwell with 25 seconds to go in the period. Covering up for Minnesota, Hartsburg swinging it out for Bobby Smith. Smith with Radicalio and Russell back, drops it off for Steve Payne. Payne for the North Stars. Miss Cicerelli with the pass. Bobby Smith after it. 15 seconds to go in the period. Payne will keep it in for Minnesota. Off for Bobby Smith. Still 9 seconds to go. Centering pass stopped by Riggin. Cicerelli back behind the goal. Out in front, and Payne just put it wide. Maxwell a shot. Riggin makes the save with 1 second to play here in the first period. Riggin holds on, and will get a face-off in the Calgary zone as the Stars really buzzed Riggin there in the Calgary net. Take another look at it. There's Payne and Poplinski going at it out in front. You can see the puck coming back now for Maxwell. Maxwell takes the shot. It pops up in the air and gloved by Riggin. Cicerelli laying underneath Russell there. There's Steve Payne. Riggin has been spectacular for Calgary as the Stars have now outshot the Flames 11-10 here in the first period. Look at Riggin, and the face-off will come to his right. Meloche going off for Minnesota because with only 1 second left, the Stars will put the extra attacker on in the Calgary zone, hoping for a quick win of a face-off and then perhaps to drill it past Riggin. With 1 second, it's difficult, but it has been done. Off the face-off, they failed to do so, and that is the end of the first period of play. With the score, the Minnesota North Stars 1, the Calgary Flames no score. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
Hey, Tommy, you just get in?
Yeah.
And you switched to natural light.
No, it's always been my favorite. Natural light tastes better to me.
And it's all natural ingredients.
Hey, Tommy, your wife just called. She said to tell you, play me or trade me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Another round of natural light for everybody. And one to go.
Natural light. Taste is why you'll switch.
I didn't know his wife played baseball.
This coal liquefaction pilot plant operated by Ashland Oil could help find a cure for our country's energy problems by making synthetic crude oil from coal. After the process is thoroughly tested, we plan to build the real McCoy.
A commercial plant operated by Ashland Oil that will produce 50,000 barrels of synthetic crude a day from America's abundant supply of coal. And that means gasoline for your car.
The big Stanley Cup sell-down is on now at your 14 Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers. It's our biggest sale ever, and every new car and truck in stock is drastically discounted. And listen to this. You make your best deal on any new car, and your Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers will give you $300 in cash. Save more than ever on our exciting lineup of new Chevys. Just make your best deal and get $300 in cash during the big Stanley Cup sell-down on now at your 14 Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers.
Think happy today. Why think about yesterday? Be better off next year than you are now. Let Twin Cities Federal show you how. Think happy today. Let Twin Cities Federal show you the way.
Back here at the Met Center, 1-0 North Stars after the first period. Al McAdam, a power play goal from Maxwell and Payne. That coming at 13:52. The Stars out shooting the Flames in period number 1, 11-10. Standing by on the Minnesota North Star bench, Tom Reed has spent a good many years there, along with North Star defenseman Kurt Giles. Tom?
Okay, we are down here at the Minnesota bench, and the score here is 1-0 for Minnesota. Our guest is Kurt Giles, the defenseman for the North Stars. Kurt, the first period, was it what you expected?
Yeah, it was. They came out after us again. We knew it was coming. Same thing in Calgary. Calgary has a fine hockey team, as you know, and we got to respect them. We got to be aware of them. They got a lot of speed. They got a lot of big boys, and we knew they were going to come out this way, and we were ready for them.
Okay, in that last game in Calgary, Kurt, it was expected for them to play that way in the first period, but it seems that they played all three periods more in the physical end of things. Is it something that we've got to be aware of and to play the same style of hockey all the way through?
Right, the thing is, Tommy, is when they come out using the physical stuff, we got to, go back to what we do, our physical part of it, too. We can't let them take the game over. We have to take, a part of it to them, too. And the thing is tonight that we have to go out there and keep taking the body. We can't let them have all the good checks, and to get us going, we got to have some good checks, too.
Okay, one of the things that happened in the warm-up here tonight occurred just a few minutes into the warm-up when the Calgary and the Minnesota players came together. There's no officials on the ice at that time. Can you kind of fill us in exactly what happened on the ice?
I'm not sure what happened. We were just skating around, and I'm not sure if somebody brushed into each other or what. And, they're facing elimination here, and we're facing, 3 games to 2 here in the semifinals, the NHL, to go to the Cup, and tensions are a little high, so I'm not sure what happened, but nothing turned out of it.
Okay, the feeling in the dressing rooms. I know that both of them probably are pretty high. How is the Minnesota dressing room prior to tonight's game?
Well, we knew what we had to do. You can say all you want, you can tell people all you want, but we knew what we had to do. We had to come out, we had to take the game to Calgary. If we sit back and let Calgary take the game to us, we're in trouble. So we knew we had to come out, we knew we had to hit, skate, and shoot.
You talk about Calgary and the fact that they do hit. Willie Platt has been known just to plant himself in front of that the goal crease area. Is there anything being said to the officials? The fact that watch the interference, he seems to be trying to get in front of Malash or to grab on or take your minds off of what's going on.
He does a good job of it. Willie's, always done that, and he's good at that. Him and Kenny Houston are both really good. They're big boys, and they're tough to move out of there. So there's not much the official can do except for keep an eye on it, but what our defense has to do, we have to get position on him before he gets in there, so we can't let him in there. If we let him in there and then try and move him, it's awful tough, but we can get position, and like a basketball, when you're going for rebounds for basketball, if you can get the position, it's a lot easier.
Okay, Al McNeil, the coach of the Calgary Flames, has been quoted as saying that to be successful against Minnesota, you've got to key on their defense.
Well, I don't know what that is. I think you have to force all defense in the league. You got to take them out. You got to forecheck them. You can't let any defense in the NHL skate with a puck, whether it's ours or, theirs or whoever's it is. You have to force them. You have to forecheck their defense. You just can't let them skate,
Okay, skating is an important part of the game, and of course, you've been playing these two buildings, the Stampede Corral in Calgary and here at the Met Center. Do you find the ice conditions any different between the two buildings?
Well, I guess the only difference is when you go into Calgary, the boards are about 2 feet higher, and it seems smaller, but it's really not. you know, it's all in your mind. You take a look around, the boards are awfully high and the rink's small, but, you know, it's always nice to play at home. There's no doubt about it. The people are from here. You feel more comfortable. You've practiced here all year. You've played here all year, but there's no difference, and the fans are helping us out an awful lot.
Okay, no question. The fans do help you out. You talk about coverage. Of course, when we get into the playoffs, it doesn't matter what sport it's in, you find a lot more TV, newspaper, radio people around. How do the players react to having all the people around them all the time?
I guess it's actually no difference. You know, the guys think it's, you know, we're here for one reason. It's here to, you know, play hockey and do the best we can. We're not here for publicity, names in the paper, you know, pictures on TV or whatever. The idea is we're here to win, and that's most, you know, the attitude the guys take.
Okay, there have been some conflicts between Riggin and also Dino Cicerelli. I know they're good friends. Riggin appears that he is not trying to give up anything, not only to Cicerelli, but to everyone, and the North Stars coming close in the last few minutes there. They seem to be putting on the speed a little bit more. They're getting the jets out of their skates right now.
All right, the thing is, we got to keep skating. We got to skate against Calgary. We always got to be moving. They get some big boys, we get some smaller guys who can really skate, and we got to keep skating and keep skating. We can't stand still so these guys can hit us. We got to keep skating, and you know, Riggin's a heck of a goalie, and he always has been, and you know, he's going to be tough in there, but the more pressure we put on him, the better chances we have.
Kurt, one of the fellows, of course, who controls the game a great deal is the refereeing. How have you found the officiating in this series with Calgary?
I think the officiating's been really good. I think it's been pretty good all year. I never have any complaints against the referees. Referees don't win hockey games for it. They can turn a tide once in a while, but you're the person out there, you're the team out there that's going to win the hockey game, and no matter what you look back on, you know, the officials don't put scores on the board, so the important thing is he just calls what he sees, and we're happy with that.
Okay, Kurt, you're one of the smaller players, defensemen, especially stature-wise in the National Hockey League, yet you're playing against one of the bigger teams. You've got guys like Houston and Willie Plett you've got to contend with. Do you find them as difficult as, say, in some of the other series we played?
Oh, yeah, Boston had some big boys, and Buffalo is no slouch, but these guys are big. You have to be smart with these guys. You have to get position on them, and you can't let them try and manhandle you, or else they'll tire you out. They're so big. But the important thing is to get position on them and don't let them get a chance where they can plant their feet.
North Stars going to win it tonight?
I say we're going to win every game, but I say we're going to win this, and we should have won, you know, last 2 or 3, but...
Okay, that's not really a fair question to ask you. Of course he wants to think that way. Well, we want him to get up the dressing room and have a little bit of a breather. The North Stars do not want to go back to Calgary. They want to finish it up here tonight. The score at the end of one period is Minnesota 1, Calgary nothing. We'll be back up with Bob Kirk after this timeout.
Imagine buying a new car in Minnesota and not keeping it tuned up. It's the same with Minnesota's roads. Adequate funding is needed to keep them in tune.
Teamwork. For over 200 years, the Marines have met challenges, walked proud, and always as a team. That's why in a world full of uniforms, only one says United States Marine. Maybe you can be one of us. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Who keeps plumbers plumbing in Nebraska? Who keeps paper hangers hanging in St. Paul? Who sells candy bars and motor cars and movie stars and mason jars? Bell System Yellow Pages, we sure do it all. Who keeps decorators busy up in Fargo, huh? Who keeps travel agents moving folks around? Who sells pickup trucks in Aberdeen and hockey bucks in Muscatine? The Bell System Yellow Pages, and we mean business in your town.
KMSP TV, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Bob Kurtz and Tom Reed back here at the Met Center. 1-0 North Stars following one period of play. Al McAdam, a power play goal. Al's 8th goal of the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. Brad Maxwell and Steve Payne picked up the assist, 13:52 the time of the goal. And that came while Gould of Calgary was off for interference at 13:40. 1-0 North Stars after one period of play. The Stars outshooting the Flames 11-10. Let's take a look now at the playoff scoring leaders. Coming into this particular game tonight, Mike Bossy of the New York Islanders, who we will see next round should the Stars defeat the Calgary Flames, is the #1 scorer with 13 goals, 14 assists for 27 points. Then Brian Trottier of the Islanders 9 goals, 13 assists, and 22 points. Wayne Gretzky of Edmonton at 7 goals, 14 assists, and 21 points. And Steve Payne of Minnesota with 11 goals, 9 assists, and a total of 20 points. Those are the leading scorers. As far as goal scorers go, Mike Bossy of the Islanders with 13. Steve Payne of Minnesota has a total of 11. Bill Barber of Minnesota has a total of 11. Dino Ciccarelli of the North Stars has 10. Brian Trottier of the Islanders has 9. And as far as the goaltenders go, Billy Smith of the New York Islanders is best at 2.25. Rick St. Croix of Philadelphia at 2.99. Gilles Meloche of Minnesota at 3.09. Don Edwards of Buffalo at 3.34. And Pat Riggin of the Calgary Flames at 3.37. Tom, your observations of the first period.
Well, the first period was kind of just that we expected it. Even Kurt Giles had mentioned, you know, they knew that Calgary would come out, they'd be checking. It'd be the kind of game that was going to be very close at the beginning, and that's exactly what it was. Minnesota got behind a little bit on the shots board. I think they're a little bit nervous. They've got a lot of inexperience out there, and of course they're playing against a big, strong hockey club that just came off a very impressive win up in Calgary, and that momentum kind of carried through. But I think the North Stars started to get their legs a little more towards the end. They had some good chances. Now they will put it away. They've got to beat Pat Riggin here with some shots.
They were, I thought they were going to get one there in the final minute of play when they were buzzing around the Calgary goal.
Well, I was sliding down the stairs here to get to the interview area with Kurt, but I was watching the way down. They had some good chances. It's so much more exciting to watch it down there than it is up here, to be honest with you. But the North Stars came close. They weren't able to get it by Riggin. He held on to it. Even 1 second left, Minnesota pulled the goaltender, putting Carlson out there, trying to get a little bit of action. And they put a left-handed shot, Tommy McCarthy, to take that face off. A good move by Glenn, but not able to put it away. Sometimes it works, but probably 99 of 100 it doesn't.
Well, the New York Islanders sitting back in their suburban homes in New York, in all probability watching this particular one on television, and probably, I don't think, having any really feeling either one way or the other as to who they play.
I don't think so either. I remember that the North Stars tied the New York Islanders twice this year, coming back from I believe a 5-1 and a 4-0 or 5-0 deficit at one time. They came back. That was right in the island, but they lost the other 2 games here. And I don't know what the record was between Calgary and the New York Islanders, but they're getting a little bit of a breather right now. That's good for them. That's what they wanted. They just wanted to, have some time where they could kind of relax and get ready for this next series. The winner of this series has to go right into it.
Well, if the North Stars manage to win this particular game at Ida, or even if they win the 7th game in Calgary, it will help the North Stars somewhat, too, in that Tim Young has that much more time to get ready.
Well, he's going to start skating this week, at the beginning of the week, and that will give the North Stars some added strength there at center, but who knows how long it's going to take before he's back in the lineup. We don't know.
Okay, we've got a 1-0 hockey game in favor of the North Stars following 1 period of play. We'll be back for period number 2 after we take a couple timeouts. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
What do I like about pass card checking at Twin City Federal? Well, I can write checks to anyone, and I earn 5.25% too. That's going to mean some extra dollars for me. And TCF gives me a variety of services with the account. Bill payment by telephone, for example. Use of pass card financial centers all over town, and it's all free with a minimum deposit. Actually, it's the most useful checking account in town, and nobody knows more about checks than I do.
The 1956 Olympics, Bill Russell's art was defense. He defined athletic artistry with his gold medal performance. Now he's used that familiar ball to create art of a different form. Bill Russell is one of 6 gold medal athletes commissioned by Budweiser to make a collection of paintings, using a lot of canvas, a lot of paint, and the tools of his trade. He did it to raise funds for our Olympic athletes.
You could own the Budweiser Art Series and help our athletes train now for the gold in '84. And remember, the secret to fine art is ball control.
Call this toll-free number to order the Bill Russell painting or an art information booklet from Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1984 Olympic Games.
The big Stanley Cup sell-down is on now at your 14 Twin City Chevrolet dealers. It's our biggest sale ever, and every new car and truck in stock is drastically discounted. And listen to this. You make your best deal on any new car, and your Twin City Chevrolet dealers will give you $300 in cash. save more than ever on our exciting lineup of new Chevys. Just make your best deal and get $300 in cash during the big Stanley Cup sell-down on now at your 14 Twin City Chevrolet dealers.
Tom Reed and Bob Kurtz back here at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota for the start of the second period. It's 1-0 for Minnesota. As we wait at the start of the second period, both teams are on the ice right now. You can see some of the hats, the dinosaurs, the banners, and there's a sign, the Primetime News.
Which will not follow the game.
Not
There is
tonight,
news following the
anyway,
game, but back on Monday, in its entirety on Monday.
All those people are so happy to be on TV now. Okay, we're just about ready with the start of the second period. That first period had Minnesota out-shooting Calgary by 11-10 margin. The big shooters for Minnesota, we had 5 guys who had 2 shots. Steve Payne, Dino Cicerelli, Brad Palmer, Neil Broughton, and Brad Maxwell with 2. And Craig Hartsburg also picked up 1. Now, they did not credit McAdam. Let me see here. They gave McAdam the goal, but did not credit him with having a shot on net. Now, that seems a little bit odd, but I think what happened was that the goaltender, Riggin, in trying to grab the puck, may have brought it into the net himself. And that would mean there would not be a shot on net, but because McAdam touched the puck last, he would be credited with that goal.
Okay, we're underway here in the second period. Poplinski trying to go towards the goal. Maxwell broke that up. Back to center ice. Reinhardt now getting it over for Russell. Russell clearing it into the North Star end. Stopped by Malash. It goes off there for Maxwell. Maxwell up for Steve Payne on the left wing. And play whistle down as Plett and Maxwell are now squaring off down in the Minnesota zone.
And they're going to go probably for slashing penalties against each other. Plett coming into Maxwell, and Maxwell kind of retaliating a little bit. It's okay to get a penalty as long as you don't have to go by yourself. So things are still interesting here. That's the 6th penalty for Minnesota, and for Calgary, that will be the 5th penalty.
5 for 13 for Calgary, 6 for 15 for Minnesota. Time of the penalties will be just 18 seconds here of the second period. I got a feeling we're going to need more than I have here on my score sheet.
That's just at the 18-second mark. We're going to see this all night long pretty well. You can see the little confrontation there between the bearded Brax Maxwell and also Willie Plett. And the referee. See how strong those referees are? Knock those players around. Both for slashing at 18 seconds of the second period.
Off now for McAdam. McAdam getting it ahead for Bobby Smith. Smith off for Kurt Giles. Giles skating to center. Off for McAdam. Back across the Calgary line. Back for Giles. A shot. That went wide of the Calgary goal. Now McAdam's centering pass was picked off by Phil Russell. Russell skates with it to center. Off for Popinski. Popinski cuts down the left side. Watched there by Gordy Roberts.
Good play by Roberts.
Now McAdam heading it up for Bobby Smith. Smith tried to go around Russell. Russell grabs him, holds on. Van Helleman takes a look at it, but no call as it goes off now for Bobby McMillan. Now McMillan of the Calgary Flames scooting out with it to center. We played a minute here of the second period. And Popinski was offside. 18:58 to go, period number 2. 1-0 for the North Stars. McAdam for Maxwell and Payne at 13:52 of the first period.
You know, it's interesting. Bobby Smith, whenever he gets pulled down or anything, he never says anything to the officials. So many fellows, when they get knocked down, they're hollering at the officials looking for a penalty. He can be pulled down, he can be tripped, he can be knocked down legally, and yet he never voices his opinion or, says anything to the official in a derogatory manner.
Got to send Bobby, though, to the Dino School of Dives.
But that tall body is a little bit tougher to dive.
Now off for Nilsson. Nilsson carrying across the Calgary line. Nilsson dropping it back now in the corner for Murdoch. Murdoch clearing it along the board. Centering pass out in front was broken up there by Greg Smith. Off now for Nilsson. Nilsson to Kevin LaValle. LaValle whipping it across for Murdoch. Murdoch setting up on the right point. Back for Roddicolio. A shot that went wide. LaValle was tripped by Freddie Barrett, and Barrett's going to pick up the penalty for Minnesota. Time of the penalty will be 1 minute and 35 seconds, and the Stars will be down a man as tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
Why strain your back removing harmful thatch? The inexpensive Thatcherizer can loosen thatch, and your snapper mower can bag it in one easy step. Thatcherizers fit snapper self-propelled walk mowers and riders. Get a Thatcherizer only at a Snapper dealer.
Any way you cut it, it's a snap with Snapper.
Trade up to a Snapper now at your nearest Snapper dealer.
Well, Minnesota's defenseman Fred Barrett has picked up a penalty for hooking against Kevin LaValle. You can see him. He's the acting captain here tonight with Timmy Young Paul Smear not dressed and also Timmy Young not dressed, he's taking the role of the C out here to show the leadership. And also, really, to talk to the officials out there, the only man who can do that.
Well, it's now a 4-on-3 power play there, Tommy.
Yeah, that's a little bit more difficult than a 5-on-4 because you got more open ice area to work.
43 seconds still left in the penalty time to Maxwell, and Willie Plett is right off the face-off. The Stars able to get the puck down into the Calgary zone. That's Paul Reinhart, number 23, going back behind the goal. Reinhart starting out for the Flames, carrying across his own line to center, heading it for Guy Chouinard. Chouinard now dumping it to the corner. Ken-Eric Anderson back for Minnesota. Anderson going behind the net. Nice play, dropping it off for Hartsburg, who has a whole lane open there, and down the ice again with 17 seconds now left in those coincidental minors.
Anderson could sense two fellas coming with him. He took a look over his shoulder and just put the puck backwards. Both of them went towards him, and that left Hartsey wide open to pick up that loose puck.
LaValle back behind the goal for Calgary, dropping it back for Radicalio. Radicalio off for Reinhart. Maxwell and Plett are back. Stars still shy a man. Puck comes loose, picked up now by Minnesota. Hartsburg ahead now for Maxwell. Maxwell going across the Calgary line, hit by Radicalio and knocked down. Reagan stops it back behind the goal. There's 1:03 left in the penalty time to steady Freddie Barrett as the pass missed Plett, sailed deep into the North Star end. Back after it goes Greg Smith, icing the call against Calgary on the power play. 55 seconds left in the penalty time to Freddie Barrett.
Something that the North Stars have to be careful of. Their defense has to watch for the Calgary wingers trying to sneak in behind them. That icing came as a result of Willie Plett getting in behind the Minnesota defense, and the pass just failed to click, and the puck went all the way down the ice, and Greg Smith picked up on the far side. But Calgary using some different tactics here tonight by trying to sneak in behind the Minnesota defense a little bit more so than they have in other games.
I want to remind you that the Minnesota Golden Gopher Hockey Awards banquet coming up Monday night at Jack's Cafe. Refreshments at 6 o'clock, followed at 7:30 by the dinner. Call Jack's for reservation. The Minnesota Golden Gophers, what a year they had. Winning the WCHA and finishing number 2 nationally in the tournament up at Duluth to the University of Wisconsin. They have their awards banquet Monday night, Jack's Cafe. Nilsson dropping it off now to McMillan, back for Radicalio. Radicalio over there for Russell, and Russell scores!
And a power play goal. Once again, penalties have played a key role in this series, and Calgary has gotten on the scoreboard, scoring their first goal. It was a shot by Phil Russell coming from the point at 2:57 of that first period. And we'll pick it up once again here. Here's a play. McMillan drops it back. Radicalio puts it across to Russell, who let the shot go, and the goaltender, I don't believe, quite saw the puck until the very last second. That's Russell from Radicalio and McMillan. We're all tied up here in Bloomington, Minnesota, 1-1, and we've got 3.5 minutes gone approximately in this second period.
Al McAdam getting it out to center ice, dropping it off for Bobby Smith. Smith was dumped off now for Payne. Payne takes the shot, a save by Reagan. And back behind the goal now goes Marsh. Marsh getting it ahead for Popinski. Popinski on the left wing for Randy Holt. Holt across center, missed Houston with it. Balash knocking it away from Houston. Houston taking it back behind the goal, and Brad Maxwell back to pick up the loose puck for Minnesota. Maxey heading it up now for Neil Broughton. Broughton skating free at center. Watched by Holt. Wiggles across the line. Plays it on the left wing for Palmer. Palmer, a drive! Reagan made the save, and look at that. It bounced over his head, landed on top of the net.
Well, he's got that hard shot that we've been told about so often this year. He let the shot go, and Reagan made the save, but it was so hard it just went right up on top, and it sat right on top of that net.
Russell down the left side. He hit the crossbar. The first at one end, then at the other. The North Stars finally get the puck out to center ice. After it goes Christoph. Palmer keeping it in for the North Stars. Off now for Russell. Russell, long pass ahead for Bobby McMillan. Giles is with him. Giles goes back, and they go crashing into the board. And icing finally called against the Calgary Flames. 15:34 remaining here, second period. The Flames won, the North Stars won.
Here's a shot once again of that shot by Palmer. We'll pick it up here where he took the shot, and it deflected off of Reagan. Watch right here. Okay. It comes across to Palmer from Broughton. He takes it off the boards, and you can see the puck now just coming up, and there it's flipping, and watch this right on top, and what a great shot that is. Brad Marsh, the captain of the Calgary Flames, coming in to offer his assistance.
Shots on goal, 14 for the North Stars and 12 for the Calgary Flames. Andy Van Helleman holding a press conference down there. We'll get the faceoff coming to the left of the Calgary goal.
I just said that Bobby didn't say anything to the referees, and it looked like he was voicing his opinion right there. Russell Muscle.
Well, he muscled one in to tie the game. McAdam for Minnesota. Russell has scored for Calgary. We're 1-1, 15:34 to go here, second period. Popinski now out there against Kevin Maxwell on the draw. Maxwell centering Jack Carlson and Ken-Eric Anderson. Off the face-off, back for Giles. Shot on goal, gloved by Riggin, and he sees Ken-Eric Anderson skating in the vicinity of the crease and decides to hold on. Look at the Minnesota bench. Larry Ness in the foreground, Buzz Oliver, Glenn Sonmore, John Steichen. Then down to the Calgary bench. That's the Bearcat down there.
Here's a Calgary goal coming with the pass across by Radicalio, and Russell just let her fly. Little traffic there, and it's in the net.
Off the face-off now, Popinski coming to center ice for the Calgary Flames, working against Giles, dropping it back for Don Lever. Lever centering pass broken up by Gordy Roberts. It was intended for number 11, Bobby McMillan. Gordy Roberts now for the North Stars, trying to get it ahead for Carlson. That was broken up by McMillan. And then the Stars get it out, but is hit with a high stick by Murdoch and knocked into the Calgary bench. 15:07 remaining here, second period. 1-1. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
To make it in football, you got to build those muscles up. And to make it in life, you got to build those savings up. Saving at TCF sure puts muscle in my future. And my money is backed by all that TCF strength and experience. Yes, sir, TCF helps me save with all its might. Hey, quit kicking sand in my face.
You talking to me, buddy?
No, sir.
I hope not.
Tom Reed and Bob Kurtz back here in Bloomington, Minnesota for Saturday Night Hockey in Minnesota. And the score here is 1-1 in the second period. We've got 15:07 remaining.
Roberts and Giles remain on defense. Maxwell, Carlson, and Anderson remain the forward line. Puck coming into the Minnesota zone. Schweenauer keeps it there, puts it back behind the goal, and Giles goes back to get it for Minnesota. Watched by Lever. Tried to get it ahead and clear the zone, but it was kept in by Radicalio. Kicked by Ken-Eric Anderson. Kept in, though, by McMillan. Stopped by Malash, back behind the goal. Off now for Gordy Roberts. Roberts for the North Stars, off for Kevin Maxwell. Maxwell ridden out there by Murdoch. Puck picked up by Anderson. Anderson and Carlson across the line. Kent to fans on the backhander. Trying to get it back to Jack out in front, but that was broken up by McMillan. Now Lever getting it ahead for Schweenauer. Schweenauer at center for the Flames. Pass going on the left side for Lever. Lever cutting in. Lost the puck. Kept in by Radicalio to Schweenauer. Big save by Malash. Rebound loose out in front. The Calgary player taken down there by Giles. Malash pounces on the puck, and the faceoff will go to the right of the Minnesota goal.
Believe me, that's some hard hitting that's taking place down there right now. They're not leaving anyone unprotected. They're hitting every man that's got a red uniform on. The North Stars are, and the Calgary Flames are doing the same to Minnesota at their end of the ice. That shot was high. You could see it in the midsection there, and it caromed off to the right of Malash, and there's the players trying to get to it, and all the bodies and the sticks and the skates. Nobody can seem to get that little black piece of rubber sometimes.
Well, Freddie Barrett taking care of Don Lever. You saw that on the replay. The faceoff now coming to the right of Malash, off the draw. Marsh trying to keep it in, gets some help from LaValle. That goes wide, goes off the glass. Setting up on the right side now is Ken Houston. Houston whipping it across for LaValle. LaValle playing it in the corner, watched by Barrett, off for Poplinski. Watched by Bobby Smith, who's out there along with Cicerelli and McCarthy. Back on the point for Marsh. Marsh hit traffic. McCarthy picks it up. Ahead for Dino, but it was tipped beautifully by Reinhardt. Dino goes in after it and play whistled down.
What a nice play by Reinhardt. North Stars almost had a breakaway, and Reinhardt just dove at the last second to knock that puck off into the corner.
Apparently whistled offside, huh, Tommy?
I don't know what to call it. No, it wasn't an offside there. I don't know why. But his skates are ahead of the blue line here. He called it offsides against Minnesota, but Reinhardt is the fellow who deflected that puck. I would think it should not have been called offside. However,
it was.
It was.
Freddie Barrett playing it back behind the net. Houston is there for Calgary. Dropping it back on the point now for Marsh. Marsh's shot. That was deflected wide by Bobby Smith. Now Smith comes up with the puck for Tom McCarthy. Kept in, though, by Houston of Calgary. Stopped behind the net by Malash. Barrett knocking it away from Popinski. Off now for Cicerelli. Stopped by LaValle. And Greg Smith goes back behind the goal. Is bouncing there at the side, and Greg Smith decides to hold on. And wisely so, as the faceoff will go to the left of Gilly. With 13:28 remaining in period number 2, the Stars won, the Flames won. Look at Ken Houston.
Had a battle with hepatitis earlier on in the year. Missed half of the season just about with the problem that he had. During the course of the season, he played in 42 games. He picked up 15 goals and 15 assists, 30 points, but had 93 that's good, minutes and penalties. Calgary's playing the same style of game they played here the last game up in Calgary. They're not letting up at all. They're continuing to use the body to get men in front of that net and just cause some confusion.
Hislop centered it out in front. Kristoff knocked it out of there. Now Palmer gets it out to center, where it's broken up by Phil Russell. Russell for the Calgary Flames. Clearing it into the Minnesota zone. Brad Maxwell goes back for the North Stars. Up on the left side for Palmer. Palmer was stopped there by Nilsson. Now Palmer getting it ahead for Broughton. Broughton for Kristoff. Back for Palmer. Across the line. Stopped by Radicalio. Phil Russell carries to center for the Flames. Clears it into the North Star end. Willie Plett knocks it back behind the goal. Brad Maxwell to the corner. Now off for Palmer. Stopped by Plett. Off for Hislop. Watched by Brad Maxwell. Hislop turning. Kent Nilsson picks up the puck. He's hit by Broughton. Broughton skating along the boards. Ahead for Kristoff. And Kristoff pushes it down to the Calgary zone. Radicalio going back after it. And icing will be the call against the North Stars. 12:33 remaining in the second period. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Mets.
You could buy all these copiers and still not get everything that's in the small new Savin 840. That's why you'll find it in blue chip companies and chocolate chip companies. The Savin 840 goes into insurance agencies and secret agencies. Only the Savin 840 gives you fiber optics, a microprocessor, fast first copy time, and more in one copier. The new Savin 840.
The CDP says go for the cup, North Stars.
Well, it's 1-1 here in Bloomington. We've got 12:33 remaining in the second period. In this second period so far, Calgary has controlled the majority of the play. It's been mostly in the Minnesota end. They seem to be controlling the puck. The North Stars getting the puck and just shooting it down the ice. They're not really taking advantage of having control. They're just giving the puck away more so than they should be in a game that's such a key game as this one.
Kurt Giles controls off the faceoff. Tried to get it past Marsh. Marsh went high in the air like a basketball player and deflected the puck in among the crowd. So we got, 12:27 to go second period, 1-1. Let's see, what's the shot clock? 15 for Minnesota, 13 for Calgary. What's that, the panic button?
That's the button.
Oh, the goal button.
Goal. The officials, by the way, the minor officials, the goal judges and so on are out of Chicago. And the backup official here tonight is Brian Lewis. Just in case one of the on-ice officials gets injured.
Giles off for Payne. Payne ahead now for Al McAdam. That failed to click. McAdam goes in after it, working against Marsh. Popinski losing it to Payne. Payne getting it back for Giles. Giles takes the shot, and Reagan made the save. With McAdam trying to deflect it out in front. Now Brad Marsh back behind the Calgary goal. Past Holt down into the North Star end. Giles going back to play it for Minnesota. Going behind Malash. As we pass the 8-minute mark here of the second period, Stars 1, Flames 1. Bobby Smith at center ice. Working against Randy Holt, goes around Holt, dumps it into the corner, and back to play it Bob Murdoch. Murdoch clearing it along the board. Off now for Plett. Plett dumping it out on the left wing for Holt, watched by Barrett. Barrett knocks him off the puck, and then Ken-Eric Anderson knocks the puck back in the Calgary zone. Kevin Maxwell centering this line, featuring Jack Carlson and Ken-Eric Anderson. Carlson with a hard hit on Marsh. Marsh still having some problems with Carlson as Carlson rides him out, and that brings the fans here at the Met out of their seats, and they're giving Jack a big ovation as Carlson and Holder in there, and the faceoff will come to the left of the Calgary goal. Tonight's broadcast coming your way from the Met.
Lou and I are pros for a long time, and we have the aches and pains to prove it.
But now we're just two good old boys talking about TCF's new service, pass card checking.
It offers checking, which Lou likes, and earns interest, which I like.
Get them both with a TCF pass card checking account.
Are those all you teeth, Lou?
Yeah, Lars, how about yours?
No, I fell off the bench in 74 against the Lions, lost these two. Then I played against the Packers in 75, and that one went. No, wait a minute. I got a Super Bowl thriller.
Kevin Maxwell back behind the goal, centering pass, glove by Riggin. Riggin holding on, and the faceoff will come again in the Calgary zone. Shot clock now 16-13 in favor of the Stars. On the scoreboard, we're tied 1-1.
Well, Jack Carlson threw a couple of good checks out there, and that seemed to instill a little bit more life into the North Star personnel, and the fans now, they're screaming as well. They're trying to get behind their team, trying to give them some support while they're on the ice out there. Minnesota responded by a couple of good opportunities. It almost resulted in goals.
Carlson with a check that time on Russell. McMillan hit by Greg Smith. Puck still in the Calgary zone. Ken-Eric Anderson going in. It's tied up. And the face-off will come to the right of Riggin. 10:58 remaining. So we passed the 9-minute mark here of the second period, tied 1-1.
You know, that game in Calgary was a physical game. We thought we'd see more of Jack Carlson, but he sat on the bench for most of the game. But Glenn has used him a little bit more in this hockey game here back in Minnesota, and they're responding right now by using him. The players are responding by getting a little more action in the Calgary end.
Reinhart dropping it off now for Houston. Houston through the legs of McMillan. Down into the North Star end goes Greg Smith. Smith heading it up now for Kevin Maxwell. Maxwell with a neat move at center ice, going across the Calgary line. Maxwell still with it. He's knocked down by Reinhart. Reinhart's going to get a penalty. And tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Mets.
You know something? At TCF, I can earn right up there with the big investors for just $100. And you can too. How? Watch. 12% guarantee for 2.5 years. That's 0.25% more than commercial banks pay. And the effective annual yield, 12.935%. High rate plus insured safety at Twin City Federal, where you earn the highest savings rates in town.
Well, Paul Reinhart picks up a penalty for Calgary at 9:28 on the hooking call against Kevin Maxwell. And just after that, as we broke away, Kevin Maxwell skated towards Riggin, and they were exchanging a few unpleasantries as well as shaking their sticks at each other. We'll pick up here, right here. There's the call for hooking right there. And Reinhart, as you see right there, sitting all by himself in that little penalty box on the far side.
Bobby Smith entering Al McAdam and Steve Payne. Craig Hartsburg and Brad Maxwell will man the point. Bill Clement, Brad Marsh, Bill Russell out there for Calgary.
That thing between Riggin and Kevin Maxwell started even before the game in tonight's warm-up when they had a confrontation. All the players were milling around. There were no punches thrown, but I'm sure that's just a continuation of the thing that started in the pregame warm-up.
Back to get it now goes Maxwell for Minnesota. 1:50 remaining in the penalty time to Reinhart. Maxey coming out with the pass on the left wing to Steve Payne. Payne carrying to center ice, dumps it in the Calgary zone. McAdam is first to the puck in the corner, working against Marsh. Dropping it off now for Bobby Smith. Stars setting up offensively. Bobby Smith out in front, hit traffic with the shot. I think he hit Clement's skate. Now McAdam goes after the puck. McAdam getting it off for Bobby Smith. Smith for the North Stars, playing it back, picked off by Hislop. Hartsburg tried to keep it in, but failed to do so, and play is whistled down offside. 1:24 remaining in the penalty time to Reinhart. We've gone inside the 10-minute mark, down to 9:56 to go here, second period.
We look at the official there, Kevin Collins. Those fellows do about 100 to 105 or 10 games a year during playoffs and during the regular season and also during exhibition games. The referees, on the other hand, will probably do it somewhere around 95 games if they go right to the final.
Dumped deep into the Calgary zone, sent along the boards by Marsh. Hartsburg keeps it in, hit the skates of Bobby Smith. Payne over there battling Russell. Smith comes in to lend a hand. Clement comes up with the puck for Calgary and gets it ahead too far for Hislop. Back to play at Maxwell for Minnesota. 1:05 left in the extra man. Bobby Smith takes the pass from McAdam. Moves down the right side, watched by Hislop. Smith still with the puck for Minnesota, back for Brad Maxwell. Maxwell, the shot! Oh! That deflected and hit something.
It looked like he hit the pipe after it deflected.
Hartsburg keeping it in for Minnesota. Off for Maxwell. 45 seconds left in the extra man. Maxwell to Payne. It was tipped wide. McAdam battling for it. Now Payne going to the boards along with Marsh. Big hit by Painter. Hartsburg keeps it in. Russell goes to the corner now for Calgary. Tries to flip it out, and it goes in the crowd. 9:04 to go, second period. 32 seconds left in the penalty time to Reinhardt, and it's Stars 1, Flames 1.
North Stars doing a good job of controlling the puck in the Calgary end on this power play. We saw once Bobby Smith got the puck in the corner, we've got both McAdam and Payne going for that area around the net. You can see right there, you can see McAdam and also Payne in that deep slot area. And Painter deflecting that puck, and it just caromed off to the right of goaltender Pat Riggin.
Broughton, along with Cicerelli and Christoph. Christoph plays it to an open point, and Giles got to go out to center ice and pick it up. Now the loose puck is played by Marsh deep into the Minnesota end. There's 22 seconds left in the penalty time to Reinhardt, as Gordy Roberts will lead out the charge. Here's Dino. Dino getting it across for Christoph. Christoph and Broughton going across the line. Christoph's pass picked off by Marsh, played off the boards, back to the North Star zone. Just 9 seconds now remaining in the penalty time.
Christoph had the right idea. Cicerelli was breaking in on the far side. He had eluded his winger, and he was breaking in there, but the defenseman was just able to get a piece of that puck.
There's a shot. That was deflected wide. Christoph plays the rebound back for Roberts. A shot. Riggin makes the save. Dino scores! On the rebound as the Flames got back to full strength. Dino Cicerelli scoring at 11:36. The Stars lead 2-1.
Well, Dino Cicerelli scoring his 11th goal of the playoff series. And we'll pick it up here once again. There's a shot coming from Roberts at the point. And the deflection, the first shot and then the second. And Dino puts it away, giving the North Stars a 2-1 lead. The penalty had already expired to Calgary. It was not a power play goal. Another angle here to pick it up. See, Broughton deflects it here right towards the net. And Riggin makes a save, but Cicerelli is able to get in front of Radicalio and put it in behind Riggin to give them a 2-1 lead. Look at the dinosaurs here. Looks like Disneyland.
Now they're going wild at the Mets. Cicerelli has finally scored against Pat Riggin.
Yes, he sure has. Maybe that'll give him a little bit more life to score some more now.
Now off for Greg Smith, picked up by Maxwell. Maxwell ahead for Jack Carlson across the line. That was broken up, sent back out to center ice again, and we'll get a face-off. 8:13 to play, second period. 2-1 in favor of the Stars. Cicerelli from Broughton, I'm assuming, and I'm trying to think of who the other one will be.
I think it'll be Roberts, yeah. That was Broughton's 6 assists in the playoffs. A couple of rookies, Roberts and Christoph, they're giving it to. I would have to question that. We'll wait and see, but we'll go along with them for now. But Christoph, then Stevie picks up his 6 assist in the playoffs this year.
Kevin Maxwell for the North Stars. Back into the Calgary zone it goes. Stopped by Riggin. Radicalio. Bumped there by Carlson. Puck picked up by Murdoch. Murdoch shooting it up on the right side for Houston. Houston dumps it to the North Star end. Stopped by Malash. Back behind the goal. Leaves it there for Greg Smith. Smith up for Jack Carlson on the left wing. Bothered by Murdoch. Carlson muscles it out to center. Picked up by Kevin Maxwell. Maxwell against Radicalio. Maxwell stopped by Radicalio. Radicalio knocking it ahead now for Kent Nilsson. Stolen by Maxwell. Off for McCarthy. That's broken up by Nilsson. Nilsson goes to the corner for the Flames. Off for Pekka Radicalio. He goes back behind the goal. Watched by Dino Cicerelli out in front. Ahead now for Nilsson. Nilsson circling in his own end. Back for Radicalio. Radicalio plays it to an open wing. Houston comes back to play it for the Flames. McCarthy drilled over there. Puck picked up by Cicerelli back across the Calgary line. And then Radicalio heads it out for Kevin LaValle, who slams it in, and look out in the crowd. 7 minutes, 9 seconds to go here. Second period, 2-1 North Stars. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Mets.
I don't think so, no. Hey, Norm, when it comes to switching to natural light, add me to the roster.
Honey Jurgensen, good to see you. Did you switch for the all-natural ingredients?
No, I switched for the taste. Natural light tastes better to me.
You old quarter horse, you lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, look at me. If I had been in this shape 5 years ago, I might have even run with the ball.
The moves he could have made.
Yeah, like the old quarterback sneeze.
Yeah. Hey.
Natural light. Taste is why you'll switch.
Well, we've had an intense game here at the Met here tonight. The North Stars lead by a score of 2-1. We've got 7:09 remaining in the second period, and we've had some action at both ends of the rink. And believe me, the emotions are still very, very high between these two teams. Calgary facing elimination. If they lose here tonight, The North Stars do not want to go back to Calgary. They want to start the next series against the New York Islanders in the finals of the Stanley Cup Championship.
Hislop to Poplinski. He chopped it wide, and Bobby Smith picks up the puck. We passed the 13-minute mark of the second period. Stars lead 2-1. Dino Cicerelli ahead for McCarthy. That was broken up by Reinhardt. Back to center. Hartsburg now controls for Minnesota. Watched by Plett. Hitting it off for Maxwell, who takes a hard hit from Hislop. Here come the Stars, breaking across. Cicerelli. His pass from McCarthy was tipped as Plett goes after it. Plett takes a hit from Hartsburg, who knocks him down. Now here comes Reinhardt. Reinhardt and Popinski. Pass was broken up by Maxwell. Hislop off for Willie Plett. Plett's offside. 6:27 remaining here in period number 2. It is 2-1 in favor of the Stars. Don't forget Twins baseball action upcoming Wednesday night from the Met Stadium. Twins against the Boston Red Sox. The first of 4 that we'll do from the Met this year.
Tickets are hard to come by in this city right now. North Stars have never been in the finals of the Stanley Cup. They've been in the semifinals. This is their 4th year, but they've never advanced any farther. Wow, that shot was deflected and just went wide.
Radicalio, you can see going back there for the Calgary Flames, gets an assist from Reagan. Puck is steered along the boards off the stick of Lever, and covering up Radicalio, heading it out to center for Schweenar. Schweenar going across the North Star line, taken away by Gordy Roberts, kept in by Radicalio, deflected wide by Lever, tied up by Giles out in front. Calgary still keeping the puck in the Minnesota zone. Into the corner now goes Gordy Roberts. Roberts for the North Stars, ahead for Broughton, off for Kristoff. Here comes Kristoff. He was dumped. Crowd roars. McMillan now playing it off 2-on-1. Lever cutting in with Schweenar. Broken up beautifully by Giles. Now McMillan back in the play. McMillan off for Lever. Lever backhands it. That was knocked down at the sides by Giles. Gloved by Malash. Malash holds on. And the face-off will come in the North Star end. 5:37 remaining second period. 2-1 Stars. And that's Guy Schweenar.
The Bobby Smith line is coming out right now for Minnesota, and of course we'll see the Poplinski line coming out for Calgary as well. They have instituted number 14, Kent Nilsson, on that left wing position in place of Randy Holt. Holt was out there as a tough guy, but now they've got Nilsson out there. He's got a little bit more hockey ability.
Shot clock 22:14 for the Stars off the faceoff. Murdoch keeping it in. Murdoch had it tipped though by McAdam, and it comes to center. Russell off for Nilsson, back for Russell again. Tim Young will be Tom's guest during the upcoming second intermission. Got to get Timmy back in the lineup as Russell goes down the right side for the Flames, centers it out in front, no one home. And up with it now, Al McAdam. McAdam, Kristoff, and Bobby Smith. The pass goes to Smith. Smith skating free down the side, takes a blast, and it goes wide. Freddie Barrett keeps it in. Steady Freddie's shot deflects, goes to Smith back behind the goal. Bobby Smith tried to center it to Payne. That was tipped, and it comes all the way back to the North Star line. We've played 15 minutes now of the second period. It is 2-1 North Stars. Greg Smith. Down the right side for Ken-Eric Anderson. Kenta back for Greg Smith. Smith a shot. That goes over the top of the net. Popinski back behind the goal. Lost it to Bobby Smith. Off now for Ken-Eric Anderson. Back for Brad Maxwell. Maxwell a shot. That deflects. Big save by Reagan. Anderson was tied up by Radicalio, so there was no rebound available to the North Stars. This is Nilsson skating to center for the Flames, going across the North Star line. Back for Houston. Houston had it taken away by Maxwell. 3-on-2 for the Stars. Maxwell, Bobby Smith, and Jack Carlson. Off for Carlson, back for Bobby Smith. Smith was tied up from behind by Houston, who came back. And the Flames steer it out to center ice, where it's picked up by Nilsson with 4:15 remaining here in period number 2. Maxwell getting it off now for Hartsburg. Back for Brad Maxwell. Watched by Bill Clement. And Carlson couldn't handle the pass on the left wing, and it goes among the Calgary bench. So the face-off will go back in the Minnesota zone with 4:04 left to play here. Part of the 15,784 fans on hand tonight at the Met Center. You can be among them next year. $50 deposit will hold your season tickets. You'll get them at a discount, and you'll have all the fun of coming to the games live here at the Met. And the number to call, 853-9340. 853-9340.
A good hockey game so far. I tell you, we've had lots of chances, or a few chances by each team here, and yet the goaltending has been superb. The North Stars seem to have come to life here a little bit in the second half of this second period. The first half of this period seemed to be controlled a little bit more by the Flames. So now the North Stars have come back, and it all started when Jack Carlson went out there, threw a couple of good checks against Brad Marsh, and that seemed to get the North Stars going a little bit more.
Face-off is to Gillies' right. Off the draw, the Stars get it out as Kristoff poked it out to center. We've now reached the 16-minute mark of the second period, 2-1 for the green and gold. Now the red and gold, the Calgary Flames. LaValle clearing it off the stick of Gould, deep into the North Star end. Back to get it goes Kurt Giles. Now Giles, he is battling over there with Clement, and from his side, plays it out to center ice. Kristoff off for Neil Broughton. Broughton, Kristoff, and Palmer across the line. Broughton a shot. Reagan makes the save. Giles keeping it in for Minnesota. Into the corner, Radicalio. Broughton goes, plays it back behind the net for Kristoff. Off for Palmer. Palmer now for the North Stars, goes down in the corner. Tried to play it back for Gordy Roberts. Clement breaks that up and steers it to center. Neil Broughton for the North Stars, back for Roberts. Off now for Kurt Giles. Giles to center and into the Calgary zone it goes.
See what Minnesota's doing right now is they're controlling the puck. Before they weren't. They were just firing the puck away. Now they're controlling it, and they're taking the edge away from the Flames a little bit.
See Smith, Payne, and McAdam now out there for the North Stars. Clement has got McAdam tied up. McAdam, centering pass, broken up by Bobby Gould. Gould backhands to center, stopped by Freddie Barrett. We've now played 17 minutes here in the second period. Stars lead them 2-1. That's offside. 2:50 remaining second period. Pat Reagan, got to be getting a little tired there in the nets for Calgary. He's had some emotional hockey games since the regular season ended.
We've got a number of players who are involved in the scoring and being the playoff scoring leaders. Stevie Payne is fourth. He's got 20 points. We look at Bobby Smith, who's had a great series here against Calgary. He is seventh with 18 points. Guy Chenard of Calgary with 16. Dino Cicerelli, he's 15th with 15 points. Bobby McMillan, Al McAdam, Tim Young, and Paul Reinhardt are all tied for that 16th position with 14 points apiece.
Payne plays it out to center, stopped there by Popinski. Popinski dumping it back into the North Star end. Flett goes after it. He's hit by Barrett. Randy Holt taken out by Bobby Smith. And we got a penalty, I believe, being called against who? Is it Barrett?
No, against Willie Platt. There'll be Platt for roughing against Barrett. I don't think Willie has forgotten the last game here when Barrett really caught him with a check and really leveled him. He was a little slow getting up. He had high stick to Barrett. After that, with about 8 seconds to go, that's the game that Glenn Salmore was thrown out. And I'm sure he didn't forget it. And as a result, Calgary now has done their seventh penalty of the game for 17 minutes. They have Minnesota and Calgary both now have had 7 penalties for the same length of time. And that comes at 17:26, and that's a roughing penalty against Willie Platt. A goal here for Minnesota would do so much for them. Not too happy as he sits in that box.
Not a particularly smart penalty either.
No, it's not.
Play going back into the Minnesota end, and back to get it now. Behind the goal goes Kurt Giles. Giles starting out, Neil Broughton. Broughton, the University of Minnesota star, comes to center ice with it. He was spun around, gets across the line, trying to free Kristoff. Kristoff goes to the corner now for Minnesota. Back behind the net, off for Dino. Dino getting it off for Broughton. Popping it back for Gordy Roberts. Roberts couldn't keep it in, and the puck comes back to the Calgary line.
That's a young, inexperienced front line there, but what a series that line is having. They're playing like old veterans.
Roberts back into the Calgary zone, stopped there by Hislop. Back to center comes the puck, and Kurt Giles is there for Minnesota. 1:17 left in the extra man as Kristoff golfs it wide of the goal. Dino goes in after it, bothered over there by Marsh. Cicerelli keeping it in for the North Stars, playing it in deep. Russell now for Calgary finds an opening and sends it all the way down the ice. There's a minute 4 left in the roughing call against Flett. 1:35 now remaining here, second period, as Bobby Smith takes the pass from Giles and comes to center. Bobby Smith, the North Stars' #1 draft choice of a couple of years ago, the Calder Cup winner in his rookie year. Hartsburg playing it to an open wing, and Marsh slamming it in. Meloche making the save, and Hartsburg coming back to get it for Minnesota. 42 seconds left in the extra man. It goes to McAdam. That's a 2-line pass. So there are 40 seconds, Tom, left in the penalty to Willie Platt. 1:14 remaining here in the period. 2-1 Stars.
This game is tough enough to play when you're at even strength, but when you're a man short, it makes it that much more difficult, and it kind of drains those players who are called upon to kill those penalties all the time. There's a deputy sheriff there. One of the people in attendance here tonight to make sure we have crowd control.
Hartsburg in his own zone now for Minnesota. Getting it out to center ice, off for Payne. Payne going across the line, down the left wing, grabbed there by Russell as play goes to the corner. Al McAdam comes up with the puck for Minnesota, watched by Lever. 15 seconds to go in the extra man. Up along the boards, Hartsburg will keep it in. Back behind the net now, McAdam with Smith out in front. Dropping it back to Maxwell. Maxwell teeing it up. Maxwell lets it go. That deflects wide. Smith back behind the goal. Try to play it out in front and does. Broken up by Marsh. Marsh backhands it to the crowd. The penalty time to Platt is over with. There are 33 seconds now remaining here in the period. The Stars lead 2-1. Al McAdam from Maxwell and Payne, a power play goal for Minnesota at 13:52 of the first period. Russell from Ronicalio and McMillan, a power play goal for Calgary here at 2:57 of the second. And Dino Cicerelli from Christoph and Roberts at 11:36 here in the second period. And that's where we stand now, 2-1 in favor of the Stars. There's McAdam, you can see behind the goal on the replay. Playing it back for Maxwell. Maxwell handles the bouncing puck. Lets the shot go. It deflects either by Payne or either by Smith, rather. McAdam out in front. And it went over the top of the cage. We look at Pat Riggin. Kevin Maxwell out there centering Tommy McCarthy and Ken-Eric Anderson. Greg Smith and Fred Barrett are the defensive pairing for Minnesota. Bill Clement going against Kevin Maxwell on the draw. Maxwell out of the University of North Dakota and the Canadian Olympic team. Off the face-off now. Bill Clement tossed it up in his own zone. McCarthy keeping it in for the North Stars. The North Stars buzzed the Calgary cage at the end of period number 1. Nilsson now in the corner, watched by McCarthy. 19 seconds remaining in the period. As Marsh steers it up for Clement, that's a two-line pass. It's offside. 14 seconds remain, period number 2. Tom Reed will be talking with Tim Young following the completion of the second period. Kevin Collins all set to do honors. The face-off coming at the left side of Pat Riggin. Shots on goal, 24 for Minnesota and 15 for the Calgary Flames. This is Game 6. Stars win tonight. They'll play on the island against the defending Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders in the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 1 Tuesday night, Game 2 Thursday. Game 3 would be back here in Minnesota on the 17th, which would be Sunday, and then Game 4 on Tuesday, May 19th. But we're getting ahead of ourselves right now as we look at Tom McCarthy. Right now, the Stars only need worry about the Calgary Flames. They lead 3-2, and they need this one. Reinhart starting out of the zone for Calgary, down the left side, ahead for Houston. Houston sends it between the defensemen. Meloche comes out and puts the puck on the stick of Freddie Barrett. Now Barrett knocking it to the boards, and there goes the siren. That is the end of the second period of play. For the score, the Minnesota North Stars 2 and the Calgary Flames 1. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
Now at McDonald's, get a Papermate Wright Brothers pen. Buy any McDonald's breakfast food item like scrambled eggs, sausage and hash browns, hot cakes and pure pork sausage, or a tasty Egg McMuffin. So march in for your Papermate Wright Brothers pen. With any breakfast food purchase at participating McDonald's.
The big Stanley Cup sell-down is on now at your 14 Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers. It's our biggest sale ever, and every new car and truck in stock is drastically discounted. And listen to this. You make your best deal on any new car, and your Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers will give you $300 in cash. Save more than ever on our exciting lineup of new Chevys. Just make your best deal and get $300 in cash during the big Stanley Cup sell-down on now at your 14 Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers.
Is FM 94 WAYL. WAYL plays beautiful, relaxing music, and that's all they play, 24 hours a day. So remember, if you want to relax, turn your dial to the place to relax, FM 94 WAYL.
Pass card checking is in the news at Twin City Federal. The minimum balance for free service has been reduced from $800 to $200. If you drop below that minimum, you are charged only for checks that clear until your balance is restored. Open your account for as little as $100. Earn 5.25%. Sign up now at any Twin City Federal office. And remember, there's no service charge at all for senior citizens.
Bob Kurtz, Tom Reed back here at the Met Center following 2 periods of play. It's 2-1 North Stars. We've had a couple of scoring changes on the goals in the second period. Calgary's goal, which tied the game at 2:57. Scratch Russell give the goal to Willie Plett, and the assist now to Russell and Radicalio, 2:57 the time of that goal. And then in the goal by Dino Cicerelli, Scratch Christoph on the assist, give it to Broughton. So it should read Cicerelli rather, from Broughton and Roberts at 11:36. So after 2 periods, we stand 2-1 in favor of the North Stars. Tommy Reed standing by with Tim Young. Tom?
Okay, we're down here at the bench, and we're with injured North Star centerman Tim Young. Timmy, could you give us an idea as when you expect to be skating right now?
Well, Tommy, I don't know right now. I've been going to physical therapy the last 2 days. I'm going to see the team doctors after the game tonight, and they'll give me the okay whether I can go tomorrow or if I have to wait a couple more days. So we'll just have to wait to the end of the game.
Timmy, the injury that you sustained up in Calgary appeared to be innocent enough. You came off the boards. I believe your skates locked with Radicalio as you were going for that loose puck. No. Is it something, that you've had in the past that has bothered you, that's reoccurred?
Well, according to the doctors, I did have a torn cartilage before that, and it didn't completely heal. And then when I fell in Calgary, I ripped it again, and I almost ripped it right in half. So, I was fortunate enough I didn't rip it in half, which was, allowed them to go in with an arthroscope. And but it was only kind of a minor surgery, and that enabled me to be out only 2 weeks.
Okay, you talked about your leg being locked in position, though. What was the reason for that?
Well, it was a piece of cartilage. When it tore, it caught in between the 2 joints, and when I went to straighten it out, the cartilage wouldn't come out, and so it stayed there until they had to go in with the surgery, until they had surgery to remove it.
I didn't think your legs were big enough to have any cartilage in there.
Hey, I got big legs.
Timmy, the second period by the North Stars, they seem to start out a little bit slow. But they seem, once the Jack got out there and started throwing a little weight around, hitting Brad Marsh a couple times, the tempo seemed to reverse and go the other way.
Well, it's been a tough game. It's been a slow game. For some reason, it seems really slow. Our guys are playing more of a checking-style game tonight than they did the previous couple nights. I was looking at the scoreboard, the shot clock, and I saw they only have 4 shots. I don't know how many they ended up with 5 for the period, so which was a good period for us. So we must have been doing some kind of checking in that. So, our guys are playing well. They're taking the body, and maybe Jack being out there gave him a little inspiration to get it going a little faster.
Okay, you talk about it being a slow game. Minnesota is supposed to be a skating team. Now, maybe in your own mind, being up higher, it does appear to be a little bit slower. Do you think that maybe might have an effect to how you're thinking about this game?
Well, I don't know if it's going to have an effect. If the guys come out this third period, maybe open it up a little more. We've tired Calgary out by playing a checking-style game. We come out, we don't shy away from taking the body. We still take the body, but we play a little faster speed, tempo game in that. And, after 2 periods, I don't think Calgary can stay with us for 3. So, I expect the guys to come out a little high, flying. We've got the lead. They've got to catch us, so why don't we take it to them?
Okay, let's go back. Going up into Calgary, we had a chance to eliminate them in Calgary. To me, is there any chance at all that perhaps some of the members of the team were thinking beyond that game into the final series against the New York Islanders?
Oh, I think, I definitely think so. You go in, we had a 3-1 lead against Buffalo. We walked right into Buffalo in the 5th game, and we beat them. The guys maybe thought, well, let's get this one over with quickly, get into the finals against the Islanders and get a couple days rest. But, they definitely didn't play their type of game that, they're used to playing, and Calgary dominated them. You got to give Calgary credit. They played a good hockey game. They're in desperation. They had to win or they were finished for the season. So they came out hitting, they came out skating well, and, your hats off to Calgary for playing the way they did.
It's been said that Calgary can't skate with our hockey club, but it appears that so far, in these last 2 games especially, they seem to be motoring pretty well.
Well, it's not that they're motoring pretty well. I think that they're slowing us down. I think that's the case right there. They're checking us very well. They're hitting us. They're using the body. They're taking us against the boards, and they're rubbing us out good. And I think that makes us look slower. And I think it's not that they can skate with us. I think it's just they're making us slower.
Okay, they talked about, concentrating and keying on the Minnesota defense for a very mobile defense. How does a centerman adjust to a style like that when he knows that his defensemen are being run all night? Do you come in a little bit deeper to help him out?
Well, you got to come in deep. That's the big thing, is to get in deep and help everybody out. When you see an open spot or somebody in trouble, you got to come in deep. So it's for me, it's a little different sitting here telling, like right now, because I'm not out there, and I have to adjust the way they play. So it's hard for me to really explain it unless I was out there playing against like Calgary's defense.
Do you find it a little difficult, especially now that we're in the semifinals, by sitting out these games?
You want to look at my fingernails?
You don't have any fingernails right now. Okay, we're going to be back here with Tim Young after these timeouts. A score here in Minnesota. The North Stars lead Calgary by a score of 2-1.
It's always easier to shop in one place for your home and garden needs. That's why True Value hardware stores offer a variety of values like this 60-foot True Value nylon hose and this lightweight family products cooler. Put trash away in this weather-resistant container and keep this Kidda fire extinguisher in your car or camper just in case. To make permanent seals indoors and out, stock up on Lifetime caulk, now featured in the spring and summer catalog from participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Some people use Amoco Premium Lead-Free because it helps stop engine knock. Others use it to help prevent engine run-on or give smooth starts or better warm-ups, good mileage, anti-corrosion, high power. Higher octane Amoco Premium Lead-Free gives you 14 benefits to help your car run the way it should. And all Amoco gasolines help prevent vapor lock in summer. You expect more from a leader.
Join the Monsters for the Sunday Funnies at noon on Channel 9.
KMSP TV, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Okay, Tom Reed back here at the Met Center. We're down at the ice level, and we're with injured North Star player Tim Young. Timmy, you talked about the therapy you're taking. What type of things do players do to try to rehabilitate, easy for you to say, rehabilitate themselves to get back into the action?
Well, it all depends on the type of injury. With my injury, I go into Copeland, downtown St. Paul. We work out on a Galvex machine which stimulates your muscles. It kind of tightens them up, which, gets them, because they've been sitting in still for 3 or 4 days, 5 days, so they get soft. So then, that tightens it up. Then you do a bunch of leg lifts with weights on your ankles and that, on your stomach, on your side, on your back and that. And then you work with this isometric machine, which I really don't know the name of it, but it's the main machine that, you do work with a knee injury, and it really works. It strengthens your leg, and, it won't strengthen your leg unless you work at it hard. It's all up to how hard you want to work at it. That's how hard it'll strengthen your leg. And then after that, I ride a bike for 5 or 10 minutes, and then I have a whirlpool. So that's about it.
Is that a motorized bike?
Well, I wish it was, I'll tell you, because he's got that tension set pretty hard.
Probably about 4 pounds tension, knowing you. Timmy, we look at the line you're playing with Al McAdam and Stevie Payne. Bobby Smith was on the other line. Your line was going exceptionally well through the whole playoff series. All of a sudden, you were injured. Bobby Smith was brought back in, and the line seems to be clicking like the days they were last year.
Well, it's true. They are playing well. I think Bobby finally realized, well, hey, Timmy's gone. Bobby's got it, carrying the load. And, it's good that he's playing the way he is right now because he was struggling in the start of the playoffs. And, maybe he's happy he's back with Al and Stevie. And, I'm sure glad the way he's playing because without his play and without the play of that line and the rest of the guys, it could be a different series right now.
Okay, Coach Glenn Saumur will be in a very tough position here when you get back and get healthy in this next series, provided we go into the next series. How does a coach react to a player coming back in? Once he's been injured, when you were with the line, you played so well, but all of a sudden, does he want to break up that other line to maybe get some more scoring punch on the other lines?
Well, I think, if I was the coach and I was playing, I'd put myself right back in between Stevie and Al and put Bobby back where he was. We were going good. There's no sense, just a little injury to upset, the rotation or anything. We were getting scoring from all 3 lines, and when I was playing in that, maybe I'm a little prejudiced because I want to play back there, but I'm going to leave it up to Glenn. I'll play where he wants me to play, and whether it's with Al or Stevie or whoever it's with, I'm going to give it all I've got, for the rest of the playoffs.
You talk about attitude of individuals, Timmy. The North Stars certainly are a cocky team in the sense that they feel they can win, but they're not cocky to the sense that they think they're so good that nobody else. Is that something that comes from veteran players instilling, the right character on the younger players?
I really think it comes from the younger players on the veterans. They're the kids that are winning all these games for us. They've never been here before, so suddenly they're winning all these hockey games. They're in the semifinals. They're really, hey, we're great, and the older veterans, we realize what happened to us last year in the playoffs, and we know it can happen again this year. So, I think it's more or less the younger players carrying it on to the older players, and maybe the older players think it's a little funny, and, they just work well together, and, maybe that's the reason. I really don't know, Tommy.
It's a guessing game. Okay, Tim, let's talk a little bit about the power play and the penalty killing situation. The North Stars are using some of the young kids in those situations, and they're playing like veterans. They don't seem to be rattled by any of the pressure that the Flames are throwing at them.
Well, that's what I've been saying all along in the playoffs so far. This team is right now, if it wasn't for the kids the way they're playing, we wouldn't be here right now. They've supported this team. They've been carrying this club. You know, you're getting your scoring from your veterans and that, but it's the kids that are doing a lot of goal scoring and a lot of, killing penalties and that, and that's why we're here right now. And, they've got that cocky attitude to play well, so, they're going to continue to play that way.
Okay, one quick question. What do we look for in this third period?
Well, I think, I think we got to open it up a little more, but we got to still take the body, and, I hope they keep putting Jack out there to enforce it a little.
Okay. It's 2-1 here in Minnesota. We've been interviewing with Tim Young in the Injured Center. We hope to see him back in the finals, provided the North Stars get that far. We're going to be back with Bob Kirsten, the start of the play-by-play, after these timeouts.
With pass card checking, all the accounts you'll ever need are at Twin City Federal. Save up nest egg money with a pass card passbook account. Take care of short-term investments with 6-month money market certificates, $10,000 minimum. Build for the future with 2.5-year money market certificates, $100 minimum. Earn 5.25% on checking account money and write checks to anyone. From now on, TCF for all the accounts you'll ever need.
In 30 years since Johnson invented the no backlash century reel, fishing's been a whole lot easier to learn. And a few million people have had more fun. Today's Johnson Century's even better, with a new non-glare finish, extended range drag, the same no backlash fishing. And the way your dealer's selling it, it's the deal of the century!
Available at all Target stores.
The Toro Challenge. Mackinac Island. A Toro lawn tractor and a Toro rear bagger are here to cut it all. To prove that Toros are built to last. Together they cut and cut and cut for over 1,300 miles. And both are ready for more. Haven't you done without a Toro long enough?
Save up to $50 on selected models at participating dealers.
You're looking at the enemy of your engine, pounding, grinding wear. Motorcraft oil fights the enemy. Motorcraft Super Premium Oil reduces wear so well, no other oil has a higher rating. Motorcraft Oil, for the future of your car, for sure.
At all Twin City Kmart stores, receive a 30-cent per quart rebate on Motorcraft 10W40 motor oil.
Bob Kurtz and Tom Reed back with you at the Met Center. 2-1 North Stars following 2 periods of play. Here's how the scoring is going. In the first period, McAdam, his 8th for the playoffs from Maxwell and Payne at 13:52. Then in the second period, Willie Platt from Russell and Radicalio at 2:57. That was a power play goal for the Flames. And then the Stars regained the lead. Dino Cicerelli from Neil Broughton and Gordy Roberts at 11:36. 2-1 Stars following 2 periods of play. And what do we have coming up, Tommy, in period 3?
Well, you're going to see Calgary right now has got their backs to the wall. They're going to try and get that puck, dump it into the Minnesota end. They're going to chase it. They're going to be throwing a couple of individuals in there, one individual, first of all, to take the North Star player, the other to pick up that loose puck, hopefully, that they will be able to get control of and propel it towards the netminder, Gilles Mavache.
We want to remind you that the Gopher Hockey Awards Banquet coming up Monday night at Jack's Cafe, 6 o'clock refreshment, 7:30 dinner. If you're interested in helping honor Brad Buteau and the boys, give Jack's a call for reservation. Off the face-off now, period number 3. The Stars 20 minutes away from the Stanley Cup Finals if they can hold on to this 2-1 lead. Back behind the goal now goes Hartsburg. Hartsburg off for Payne, off for Bobby Smith. Bobby Smith at center ice, pass going to McAdam. McAdam down the right wing, back for Bobby Smith. Smith across for Payne, and it was stopped by Willie Platt. Payne gets it again, a shot. Riggin makes a save. Bobby Smith and McAdam a shot. That's deflected by Russell and goes into the crowd. In 25 seconds, all that took place.
Russell was able to come out there and get his stick right in front of the shot by Al McAdam. It was a good play coming out of the corner, and McAdam was all set for it. He just let it go on the fly, and it deflected over top. A good look from behind the netminder of the North Stars, Gilles Melas. That's what it looks like from his angle. I bet he'd like to keep a lot of those people down there. Looks like some pretty excited people there.
They're having a good time, so are we up here, and we hope you are at home.
Wait till the period is over, and then we'll see if the North Star fans can be a little bit more joyful.
Jim Papinski. Good friend of Bobby Smith, but not on the ice. Right now, Papinski out there against Neil Broughton, who is centering Palmer and Christoph. Comes back for Palmer. Palmer takes a shot. Reagan makes a save again. Holt knocks down the puck with the glove. Motors into the corner and then swings it out for Houston on the right wing, and the puck comes to center. The Stars have come close to grabbing that all-important 2-goal lead. Oh, almost a bad pass there, and Schweenar would have been off to the races, but it hopped his stick.
Those are the kind of things you can't take chances on. You've got to make sure here, especially when it's a 2-1 game, and a game that is so decisive in this whole series.
Kenny Houston muscles his way to the puck out in front. That's broken up by Christoph. Christoph now trying to get it across the line. Does the center ice, stopped by Reinhardt. Reinhardt had it taken away by Broughton, but not until it was whistled down offside. 18:56 remaining in regulation time. The Stars 2, the Calgary Flames 1.
That second period saw the leading shooter in that second period was Kurt Giles of the North Stars. He had 3 shots, followed by Broughton and Palmer with 2 apiece. And for Calgary, they had Marsh and Houston, Clement, Lever, and Twett each had 1 shot. They've now credited McAdam with a shot in that first period. They did not do so in the previous report that we had.
Dino Cicerelli on the right wing. Tommy McCarthy's the left wing. Bobby Smith double shifting at center. Winning the draw, getting it back for Gordy Roberts. Roberts going back behind Malash.
The name of the game here right now in this period is puck control. They've got to take that puck and they've got to control it. The North Stars do not want to give it up. They can't afford to have a lot of face-offs in their own end. They got to continue to play an offensive game and at the same time make sure they're picking up those wings, not allowing anyone to get free.
Well, icing was the call. 18 minutes, 41 seconds. There's the man who has the lead goal right now, Dino Cicerelli. Hello, boys. Off the face-off, back for Radicalio. Saved by Malash. And the puck back out to center now, Radicalio. Dumping it back in, on goal, saved by Gilly. Off now for Gordy. Watched there by Willie Plett. Swung out on the right side for Cicerelli, too far. Coming after it and chopping it away from him was Marsh, and it goes to the crowd. 18:22 left.
Well, Glenn Salmore using different line combinations. So Cicerelli out there with McCarthy and Bobby Smith just now. Bobby Smith doing some double duty here occasionally. The North Stars are able to take their lines and juggle them around a little bit, trying to keep the Flames off balance so they can't throw any one checking line on any of the lines of Minnesota. There's the shot board, 25-17 for the North Stars. North Stars had 1 shot in this period, and Calgary's had 2.
Reinhardt now for Calgary across to Murdoch, stopped by Big Jack Carlson, but the puck finally comes out to center, picked up by Schweenar. Schweenar ahead for Don Lever. Lever kicking it ahead with a skate. Flips it across. Carlson will break that up for Minnesota. Jack trying to get it across the line. Shoves Murdoch, finally just kicks it across the line. It's just sheer power by Carlson. Murdoch tried to free Schweenar. That was broken up by Kevin Maxwell. Kevin Maxwell goes back, tries to clear it out. It goes into the crowd. 17:51 remaining in the game, 2-1 in favor of the North Stars.
Look at Jack Carlson being used more in this game, and as mentioned earlier by myself and also Tim Young, it seemed when he started to be used a little bit more in that second period that the North Stars seemed to get a little bit more on track, knowing that Jack was out there throwing his weight around. Good guy to have in your dressing room. A real booster of the fellas.
Off the face-off. Lever teed up, but he never got the shot off. He was knocked down. Now Reinhardt out for Lever. Stopped by Melas. Gilly knocks it out of there. Off for Carlson. Taking a pass from Ken-Eric Anderson. McMillan digs it free. Jack is right there to bother him. Back for Murdoch. A shot. That goes wide. Out on the right wing for Ken-Eric Anderson. Anderson clears to center. It goes into the Calgary zone. Stopped by Reagan, left for Murdoch. Murdoch back behind the goal for the Flaming Seas. Out on the right side now, Reinhardt takes the hit from Payne. Bobby Smith comes up with the puck, shouted by Jim Popinski. Off now for Brad Maxwell. Maxwell for Hartsburg, circling at his own line. Hartsburg to center ice, carrying it across the Calgary line. On the left wing for Payne, a shot. Reagan makes the save. McAdam cruises through. Reagan holds on. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Mets.
The big Stanley Cup sell-down is on now at your 14 Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers. It's our biggest sale ever, and every new car and truck in stock is drastically discounted. And listen to this. You make your best deal on any new car, and your Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers will give you $300 in cash. Save more than ever on our exciting lineup of new Chevys. Just make your best deal and get $300 in cash during the big Stanley Cup sell-down on now at your 14 Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers.
There's the famous Catfish, the #1 North Star fan who goes through these antics every game, game in and game out, up and down, shakes everybody's hand.
You know how he paid for his tickets? He finally, he was a beer salesman at Met Stadium during the Twins games. Catfish out there for all of them as well. McAdam takes a shot. That hit his skate, comes off for Willie Plett. Plett steering it ahead now for Jamie Hislop. Hislop goes down the right side along with Poplinski, broken up by Maxwell. Here's Bobby Smith. Smith, Payne, and McAdam. Smith across the line, still with the puck for Minnesota. Stopped there by Brad Marsh. Marsh now for the Calgary Flames, back behind the goal. 16:40 to go, regulation time. 2-1 Stars, Poplinski to center. Going across the line, spun around by Kristoff. Puck goes to the corner. Hartsburg getting it too far for Kristoff. Kept in now by Marsh, and that was knocked down out in front by Maxwell, ahead for Kristoff. Steve Kristoff for the North Stars across the line. Kristoff dropping it back for Bobby Smith. A shot. That deflected wide. Jamie Hislop in the corner. Bumped there by Kristoff. Drops it off for Marsh. Marsh ahead for Poplinski. And Poplinski getting it out to center for Phil Russell. Russell for the Calgary Flames. Going across the line. Tried to split the defense. Cannot make it. And to the corner goes Gordy Roberts. Off now for Neil Broughton. Broughton watched by number 14, Nilsson. Nilsson and LaValle out there for the Calgary Flames. Gould knocking it back for LaValle. Stopped there by Roberts. We've passed the 4-minute mark now here in the third period. 2-1 Stars. Kristoff for Minnesota. Getting it ahead for Broughton. Stopped by Radicalio. Radicalio at the Flames line. Rink wide for Gould. Gould clearing it into the Minnesota zone. Giles going back for the North Stars. Back behind the goal.
Giles is excellent. He's using that net as an interference post for him to take the puck, and he's able to make that quick turn and just use that net in front of him all the time when he knows that the players are coming in on top of him.
Nilsson is back there, dropping it off. After the puck goes Brad Palmer. Palmer in the corner now for the North Stars, being spun around by Radicalio. LaValle comes in. Palmer staying right with it for Minnesota. Palmer still keeping the puck in the Calgary zone, but finally Radicalio will get it out. Radicalio skating to center. Radicalio dropping it off for Nilsson. Nilsson cutting in, drops it back. Palmer's there for Minnesota, slaps it to center. Here's a break now as Kristoff comes down the right side. Penalty coming up against the Calgary Flames as the puck is touched by McMillan. We played 5:05 in the third period. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Mets.
Now at McDonald's, get a Papermate Wright Brothers pen. Buy any McDonald's breakfast food item like scrambled eggs, sausage and hash browns, hot cakes and pure pork sausage, or a tasty Egg McMuffin. So march in for your Papermate Wright Brothers pen. With any breakfast food purchase at participating McDonald's.
And there's a look at Murdoch. He picked up a elbowing penalty against Palmer on the far side. Palmer getting the puck off the boards, but Murdoch moved into him, got him with a little bit of a high elbow, picking up the 8th penalty for Calgary for 19 minutes. That comes at 5:05. And well, here's the replay right here. You can see right here, there's the elbow hitting in the head area of Palmer, and he's going to sit there. A big, big penalty at this stage of the game, and if the North Stars score, that'll give them a 2-goal lead. It's 2-1 here in Minnesota, 14:50 remaining in the third period.
Hartsburg pops it into the Calgary zone. Russell now goes back for the Flames. Bumped over there by Steve Payne. Painter trying to dig it free. Russell tries to force the faceoff. Back behind the net it goes. Russell on his knees off for Clement. Clement heading it out for Jamie Hislop, but Hislop backhands it down to the North Star end. Brad Maxwell goes back to get it for Minnesota. 14:30 separating the Stars from the Stanley Cup Finals. If they can hold on, Bobby Smith at center ice. Smith going across the Calgary line. Down in the right corner, plays it back behind the net. Now it goes back behind again for Al McAdam. McAdam losing it to Brad Marsh. Marsh behind the goal again with 1:18 left in the man advantage. Painter trying to dig it free. Look at him manhandle him back there as McAdam comes up with the puck. Now McAdam dropping it back for Maxwell. Maxwell over for Hartsburg. Hartsburg at the side of the net. Over to score! Steve Payne is 12th goal to the playoffs. A power play goal for Payne. It comes at 5:59. The Stars lead 3-1.
What a great play by Craig Hartsburg to get it over to Bobby Smith. Smith put it in front, and there was Painter all by himself to put it away. That's Painter's 12th goal of the playoffs. Watch how it starts here. Watch Maxwell across to Hartsburg. He doesn't shoot. He puts it off to the far side. Look where Painter is, and bingo, it's in the net to give the North Stars a 3-1 lead. That goal comes at 6:59. Here it is from a different angle. Watch Painter position himself by Bobby Smith on the far side. Regan had moved across. There's no way he had a chance on that goal. And it's 3-1 here in Minnesota. We've got 13:55 remaining in the third period, and a chance perhaps for the North Stars to go into the finals of the Stanley Cup.
Out to center ice now, Kent Nilsson. Nilsson for the Flames. They've got to get some goals here in a hurry. A big save by Malage. And a penalty coming up here against the North Stars, so the Flames will have the manpower advantage. They continue right now with LaValle, but it's finally whistled out. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
Think happy today. Why think about yesterday? Be better off next year than you are now. The Twin City Federal show you how. Think happy today. Let Twin City Federal show you the way.
Ken-Eric Anderson has been called for hooking on Bobby Gould, and that evens the penalties up at 8 apiece.
For a total of 19 minutes aside. Calgary in need of a goal here. Reinhart trying to keep it in. It was blocked and comes back out to center. Here's Kevin Maxwell. Kevin Maxwell along with Palmer. Maxwell in, takes a shot. Regan makes a save. Reinhart back to pick up the loose puck behind the net. 1 minute, 37 seconds left in the penalty time to Anderson as LaValle carries it center for Calgary. Clears it into the North Star end. Greg Smith back after it. Smith trying to clear it out. Gets it ahead for Palmer. Palmer pushes it down the ice on goal. Save Regan. We're approaching now the 7-minute mark here of the third period. The Stars lead 3-1. 13 minutes away from the finals. LaValle going down the left side. Carries to the corner. Watched there by Freddie Barrett. LaValle dropping it back now for Pekka Radicalio. Watched over there by Broughton. Into the corner it goes. Back for LaValle. LaValle tied up by Al McAdam. Malash comes out, grabs the puck off now for McAdam. McAdam ahead for Neil Broughton, and Broughton past Radicalio, and down the ice it goes. 1 minute left in the extra man.
You notice how on that play there, McAdam did not try to get the puck down by himself. He got it up to the winger on the far side. Make a play with it. Don't try and do it all yourself. Make it as a team, and that's exactly what happened. The North Stars able to get the puck and to get it out of their own end.
Kevin Maxwell for the North Stars finds another opening, and down the ice it goes again. 40 seconds left in the penalty time to Ken-Eric Anderson. 12 minutes and 15 seconds to play. Schweenauer at center ice for the Calgary Flames. Crisscrossing his way across the line. Sets up shot, drops it off now for Reinhart, who's watched by Hartsburg out in front. And no one connected there for Calgary. Schweenauer tried to play it across and does for McMillan. McMillan back for Reinhart. Reinhart a shot is saved by Malash. Stars try to clear the zone, but can't do so as the puck is kept in. Schweenauer tried to drop it back for Radicalio, tipped away by Kevin Maxwell. Maxwell against Radicalio in a race. Radicalio goes back, drops it off now for Reinhart. Just 4 seconds left in the penalty time to Ken-Eric Anderson as it goes off now to McMillan. McMillan for Schweenauer. Off for Willie Platt. Stars are back at full strength. Malash makes the save. 11:34 to play. 3-1 North Stars. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
Gordy, who? You switched to natural light.
Sure, natural light tastes better to me. That's why I switched.
And it's all natural ingredients. Tell me, Gordy, now that you've retired, life's a little more peaceful, huh?
Much more.
2 natural lights, please.
Give me a check.
Check. Natural light. Taste is why you'll switch.
I'm learning to take it easy.
Him too.
Check.
15,784 here tonight to watch the game between the North Stars and the Flames. And the North Stars lead by a score of 3-1. They're down to 11:34 remaining in this third period. The Flames have got to get some goals on the scoreboard here pretty quickly. You're going to see them. They're going to put everything they can towards Minnesota, trying to get that next goal to bring them within one.
Giles going back for the North Stars, back behind Malage. Now Giles steering it up for Payne, stopped over there by Murdoch. And we'll get a face-off coming up in the North Stars zone with 11 minutes and 17 seconds to go. If the North Stars do hold on and win tonight, tickets for the first two games of the Stanley Cup Finals, lettered L and M, will go on sale Monday morning at 9:30. If the series goes 7 games, in other words, the Stars lose this one and go to Calgary and win, the tickets would then go on sale Wednesday. So right now, we'll hope for Monday. As coming out now is Gordy Roberts to center. Pass down the left side, too far for Payne. Reagan out of the goal. Almost lost the puck. Coming up with it now, Bobby Smith had it knocked away by Bob Murdoch and picked up now by Don Lever. Off for Murdoch. Here come the Flames. Murdoch across the line. Still controls. Back for Poplinski. Poplinski takes the shot. That goes wide. McCarron comes to Al McAdam. Ahead now for Bobby Smith. Smith and Payne across the Calgary line. Russell knocks him flat. Puck kept in now by Barrett. Barrett playing it to the corner for Dino Cicerelli. Cicerelli watched by Lever. Dino still with the puck. Off for McCarthy. McCarthy at the side. Skated out. Cicerelli digging it free. Dino back behind the goal. And a lot of traffic there. Russell went flying for Calgary. McCarthy went flying for Minnesota. The face-off apparently is not going to come here immediately as it's kicked along the boards. Ken-Eric Anderson keeping it in. Off for Cicerelli out in front. And that was broken up by the netminder Reagan. McCarthy dropping it back out for Greg Smith. Smith a shot. It goes wide. Keeping it in. Ken-Eric Anderson off for Tom McCarthy. Watched there by Russell. We've got 10 minutes to play in the game. It's 3-1 North Star. Russell getting it out to the North Star line. Freddie Barrett going back after it along with Ken-Eric Anderson. Anderson touching it, icing against Calgary. 9:53 to play. 15,784 have jammed this building to the absolute rafters here tonight. Every game the Stars have played at home has been a sellout throughout the playoffs.
And you can see why just by the tempo of this game and the excitement you can feel as being right here. And we're just glad that we can bring it to you and let you be part of the action as the North Stars advance hopefully towards the Stanley Cup Finals against the New York Islanders.
Face-off is coming to the left side of Reagan. LaValle on the draw, going against Broughton, comes back for Maxwell. Maxwell for Minnesota takes the shot. Reagan made the save, and it was ruled in through the crease, off one skate, then the other, but it stayed out. Hartsburg is shot. Reagan makes another save. Broughton after the puck for Minnesota. LaValle. Kristoff also in. He was knocked down. Marsh comes up with the puck. Flames are really putting the muscle out there. Kristoff behind the net. Dropping it back for Palmer. Kept in by Hartsburg. A drive over the top of the net. Now in the corner goes Kristoff. Kristoff for Minnesota. Picked off by Kevin LaValle. LaValle getting it out to center, and the clock shows 9 minutes and 20 seconds to play. Radicalio for the Calgary Flames. Watched by Broughton. Broughton bumping him out of the play. Back to help is Nelson. They lose the puck. Kristoff up with it. Back for Palmer. Picked off by LaValle. Kevin LaValle dropping it off for Bobby Gould. Gould going across the North Star line. Tried to split the defense and lost the puck to Craig Hartsburg. Here come the green and gold back the other way. Hartsburg stick handling across the Calgary line. Going in deep with it out in front. Oh, he hit the goal post. Hartsburg, one of his patented rushes. And now back goes Bobby McMillan. McMillan off for Bobby Gould. Gould at center, slamming it in. Over the top of the net it goes. McAdam goes back after it for the Stars. McAdam coming out, bothered by Poplinski. Al carries to center ice. Moves across the Calgary line. McAdam trying to cut in. He couldn't make it. Smith hit the side of the net with it. Caught up in the mesh back behind the goal. Payne can't knock it off in time. And we've got 8:30 to go. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
I've always hoped that someday they'd have a Bob Lurchma Day. You know, like they have for all the superstars. Well, it finally came true. I may not be a superstar, but I'm a super saver at TCF. I sure like the help I get from those Twin City Federal folks. So thank you, TCF, for helping me save and making Bob Lurchma Day possible. At least you'd think my wife and kids would show up.
Well, the North Stars are trying to get a little bit more of a cushion here. You saw Craig Hartsburg move in there, and a nice play, a couple of good moves, went in across and hit the pipe on the far side. And there's a look right there. Jim Pablinski knows they have to do something. They've got to win those faceoffs, and that's why he's out there, and he won it.
Off for Murdoch. Murdoch getting it over now to Reinhardt. Reinhardt to Pablinski at center. Pablinski going across the North Star line. The puck is knocked back to center ice. Now Reinhardt off for Pablinski. Into the North Star zone it goes. Wide of Gilly, and back to play it now. Tommy McCarthy. McCarthy tried to get it out. Murdoch kept it in. Plett bumping in there with Gordy Roberts in the corner. Giles takes it back behind the goal. Now Giles from Minnesota kicking it free. Off for Dino Cicerelli. Cicerelli stopped by Reinhardt. Reinhardt brings the puck back out in front. Nilsson takes the shot. Meloche makes the save and holds on. We got Gordy Roberts, and I think Jamie Hislop going at it down there. Willie Plett not far behind.
Those players are right where they're supposed to be. Roberts keying in on the fellows who are trying to get in front of Meloche and get those rebounds, and Hislop and Plett doing their job as well. There's action right here. Watch right here. The puck goes back to the point. There's the shot, the save, and in comes Roberts right here taking his man. There's no way, he says, I'm going to let you have that puck without a fight. And Hislop fighting back, and that's what those fellows are getting paid to do, and they're doing their job well.
Face-off will come to Jelly's left. We passed the 12-minute mark here of the third period. 3-1 Stars.
Pretty happy right now.
Kept in by the Flames. Puck loose out in front. Kristoff now covers up for Minnesota. Kristoff ahead for Palmer. Radicalio going back to get that for Calgary. Putting it back behind the goal. Palmer takes him out of the play. And in the corner now, Don Lever. Bumped by Broughton. Puck picked up by Radicalio. Radicalio starts out Bobby McMillan. McMillan carrying to center ice. Off now for Lever. Lever down the left wing. Watched by Kristoff. Ridden out by Kristoff. Puck dug free by Schweenar. Back for Russell. Russell takes the shot. Meloche makes the save. Kristoff tries to get it across the line, and with some help from Freddie Barrett, the team's captain tonight, he does. Russell from center plays it back in, and that clock continues to tick off. Running down, only 7 minutes and 10 seconds remaining now. That's all that stands between the Stars and their first ever appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals. Palmer broke his shot with that one as it comes in. Riggin clears it ahead now for Pekka Radicalio, watched by Bobby Smith. Radicalio stick handling across his own line, out to center, pass on the right wing for Houston. Played into the North Star end, stopped behind the goal by Meloche. Up along the boards by Maxwell, kept in by Nilsson. Nilsson dropping it back for Murdoch, and Murdoch's shot ripped wide. McAdam got it out to center ice. Reinhardt gets it off for Kent Nilsson. The clock now down to 6 minutes and 35 seconds remaining in the game. Kent Nilsson going down the right wing. Watched by Hartsburg, is forced wide. Hartsburg tripped him, and Hartsy's going to get a penalty. Face-off will come to the right of the North Star goal. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Mets.
Maintain a balance of $200 in a pass card checking account at Twin City Federal, and the service is free. What's more, and this is a special feature at TCF, if you drop below that minimum, you are charged only for checks that clear until your balance is restored. Most financial institutions charge for the whole month, even if your balance is low for just 1 day. You come out ahead at Twin City Federal. Get a TCF pass card checking account. It pays you interest, and it saves you money.
Well, Craig Hartsburg has been called for tripping. Nilsson was trying to go around him, and Hartsburg realized it and was trying to put the puck. Watch right here. He was more or less trying to block that shot for that pass and coming out and lunging at it, but he took the skates out of Nilsson. As a result, the North Stars will be playing shorthanded once again here. The ninth penalty, a tough position right now for the North Stars to be in this. They got a 2-goal lead here, and Hartsey is not having much fun sitting in that penalty box, but the North Star penalty killers have done a pretty good job so far in this series, and hopefully can keep the Calgary Flames from scoring a goal here to bring them within 1.
Face-off will come to the right of Meloche. Hartsburg off for tripping, 13-33. 9 penalties to the Stars for 21 minutes. Calgary has been whistled down 8 times for 19. And off the face-off, the puck will go all the way back in the Calgary zone. Radicalio getting it ahead for Reinhardt across the line. Roberts took a poke at it. It goes back behind the goal into the corner. Kurt Giles for Minnesota. Works it ahead for Ken Eric Anderson, and down the ice it goes. 1 minute and 38 seconds left in the penalty time to Hartsburg. Reinhardt carrying to center for the Calgary Flames. Off now for Radicalio. Ahead for Schweenar, broken up there by Anderson. Anderson ahead now for Palmer. Palmer with Reinhardt back. Palmer, a drive, he scores! A short-handed goal by Palmer. And the Stars lead 4-1. They're 5 minutes and 51 seconds away from the 1981 Stanley Cup Finals.
And that goal comes at 14:09 and a short-handed goal for Brad Palmer. He just let that thing rip and it went over the glove of the goaltender, Pat Riggin. We'll try and pick up here again. As you can see, the fans pretty happy with what's happening here right now. A very commanding 4-1 lead in a game such as this. The team captain here for tonight, Freddie Barrett, got a feeling a little bit better right now. But believe me, Brad Palmer has just let a sizzler go, and that's Brad's 6th goal of the playoffs.
Here come the Flames. They still have 1:15 to go on their power play. At center ice now is Don Lever. Lever for the Calgary Flames. Ahead for Reinhardt. That was broken up by Freddie Barrett, sent high into the air and back into the Calgary zone. 5 minutes and 30 seconds to play. Ken Eric Anderson deep in the Calgary zone. Anderson controls for Minnesota, pushing it all the way back to his own line to Brad Maxwell. 55 seconds left in Hartsburg's penalty. Puck going into the Calgary end, and back to play it now goes Paul Reinhardt as the Flames right now are on the brink of elimination. Nilsson goes across the line for Calgary, watched over there by Gordy Roberts. In the corner now, Lever. Lever playing it back for Reinhardt. Reinhardt keeping it in, out in front, armed out by Malash. Off now for Kenny Houston. Houston for Don Lever. Lever in the corner to Nilsson, back for Reinhardt. A shot by Houston, tipped, and it goes in. A goal by Houston, a power play goal. I thought it was going over the top of the net. Malash not particularly happy with himself, but Houston got a tip in, out in front, and that makes it a 4-2 game.
And that's a power play goal for Houston. It was a good passing play all the way around for them. Watch right here. Here's the pass from Lever behind the net. It goes up in front, and a quick shot, and Houston is in front of the net, deflects it, and it goes into the top corner, and that brings the Flames back within 2. It's now 4-2 for Minnesota over Calgary. We got 4:53 remaining. That goal is a 15-17 in the third period.
15:07.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We'll forgive you. 4-2, favor of the North Stars. Deep in the North Star end now. McAdam playing it out in front. LaValle breaks that up. And LaValle now carries to center for the Calgary Flames. Slams it in. That deflects. And way up and back behind Malash goes that one. 4 minutes and 39 seconds remain. The Stars 4 and the Calgary Flames 2.
Reinhardt and Nilsson will pick up the assist on that.
If the North Stars hold on and win tonight, keep in mind tickets for the first 2 games of the final series will go on sale Monday at 9:30. The series would start Tuesday in New York. We play in New York Tuesday and Thursday. Back here at the Met next Sunday, May 17th, and next Tuesday, May the 19th. Those tickets will be lettered L&M. They'll go on sale 9:30 Monday morning. So the North Stars' first ever appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals, but right now we've got 4 minutes and 30 seconds to worry about.
That's the most important thing right now. The North Stars realize, you know, they've only got 4:30. They've got to hang on to this. They can't afford to give it up. Because they know if they do have to go back, they've got to go through 60 more minutes of playoff hockey against this Calgary team.
Goal by Palmer, the shorthanded goal. Give the assist to Kevin Maxwell. There's a look at Jim Popinski as the faceoff will now go out in front to the left side now of the Minnesota cage. 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Off the draw, controlled by Minnesota. It goes for Freddie Barrett. Barrett now for the North Stars. Skating down the left lane, trying to get it out. Does to Bobby Smith at center ice. Smith, Payne, and McAdam. Al McAdam going down the right wing. McAdam was dumped, and Andy Van Helleman's going to ignore it. Popinski bumps McAdam back there. Knocked loose by Smith. Off for Payne. That was tipped. And Platt now controls for the Calgary Flames and gets it out to center ice. Broken up by Greg Smith. Smith slams it back in. Riggin makes the save and drops. Off now for Russell. 4 minutes to play in the game. Russell getting it off now for Murdoch. Murdoch ahead for Platt, taken care of by Greg Smith. Palmer playing it back to center, and then it dribbles into the Calgary zone. Going back after it now, Nilsson. Nilsson wins the race to the puck, and icing called against the North Stars. We're down to 3 minutes and 49 seconds left. 4-2 Stars.
And I'll tell you, it's going to be a long 3:49 up here in this broadcast booth. Both Bob and I are standing, awaiting the clock to tick down gradually. We got banners, we've got signs all over the place here. A big sign on the far sides, Go Stars Go, and a great big picture of Dino. We've had a lot of action in the stands. We've had a lot of action on the ice here tonight, all night long.
Face off will be going to the left of Malash. There's Don Lever. Kenny Houston.
The Flaming Seas from Calgary.
There's the time. And off the draw, controlled by Minnesota. Goes to Hartsburg, back behind the goal. Shadowed there by Houston. Off for Neil Broughton. Broughton trying to get it out, but kept in by Nilsson. And play whistled down with a high stick by Andy Van Helleman. And the faceoff will come across the North Star line with 3 minutes and 41 seconds left.
And he's done an excellent job here tonight. Andy Van Helleman, once again, one of the top officials in the league. The North Stars happy to see him here in attendance tonight.
Off the face-off, controlled by Minnesota. Maxwell playing it out to center. Radicalio now clears it back in. Stopped by Malash behind the goal. Off for Hartsburg. Hartsburg now for Minnesota, trying to come out of his own zone. Pass going off the skates of Palmer, kept in by Reinhardt. Now Hartsburg tries again, and Reinhardt knocks the puck into the crowd. 3:23 to go.
Reinhardt moved in there. That's what the defense has to do for Calgary now. They've got to pinch in. They've got to stay right at that blue line. They're behind 2 goals. It's no good for them to back up and bring the puck into their own end. They're being told right now, guys, let's pinch in, let's drop the puck, let's get it in that end, and let's go and get it. Glenn Salmore pacing back and forth, giving his players some encouragement, along with North Star assistant coach Murray Oliver on the bench, and up in the press box, the other assistant coach, J.P. Parisi, along with Lou Nanny, the general manager, who I'm sure is going up and down that press box.
Kevin Maxwell out to center, Tom McCarthy and Ken-Eric Anderson. Kurt Giles, Gordy Roberts, the defenseman, and of course, Gilles Malash in the goal. Off the face-off, Stars control. Not for long, though. Murdoch getting it off for Schweenar for Kevin LaValle. Stripped of the puck by Giles. Back to center for Tom McCarthy. Now McCarthy. Pass goes behind Anderson. Anderson clearing it into the Calgary zone. Stopped by Houston behind the goal. Russell clearing it up along the right wing for McMillan. 3 minutes to go in the game. Center ice now, Bobby Murdoch. Murdoch going across the North Star line. Watched by Roberts. Dropping it off now for Bobby McMillan. Now McMillan over for Russell. Russell fakes the shot. Finally takes it. That deflects, goes wide. Roberts goes after it for Minnesota. Roberts trying to clear it out. And again, the puck goes among the paying spectators with 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the game. 4-2 for the North Stars.
These guys are feeling the pressure right now. Believe me, both teams. No time to let up for either club. They've got to continue just to keep on going, give it everything they've got. For Calgary, there's no tomorrow they lose this game, and for the North Stars, it's a chance to advance to the finals of the Stanley Cup for the first time ever.
And the 14-year history of this franchise. Now it's McMillan. McMillan getting it ahead for Kevin LaValle. LaValle cutting in against Freddie Barrett, dropping it off for Reinhardt. Both Payne and Barrett take care of Reinhardt. A collision back behind the goal, and the face-off will go to the left side as we're down to 2 minutes and 29 seconds left here in regulation time.
And you're going to see a lot of collisions here in this last few minutes. So the guys are going to be taking the body every chance they get.
Shots on goal, 34 for Minnesota, meaning they've had 10 here in the third period. 23 for Calgary, meaning they have had 8 here in period number 3. It is going to be some sort of wild celebration, a wild Saturday night here at the Met if the North Stars win this one. Face off to the left of Malash. Bobby Smith out along with Al McAdam and Steve Payne. Freddie Barrett and Greg Smith. The goaltender, of course, is Gilly. Kevin LaValle, Kent Nilsson, Reinhardt, Flett, and Radicalio, the skaters for the Flames with Pat Riggin in the nets. Off the draw, LaValle goes to the corner, bumped by Greg Smith behind the goal. Freddie Barrett clearing it up along the left wing for Payne. Payne pushing it down into the Calgary zone. 2 minutes and 19 seconds to go. Radicalio goes back, touches it. Icing is the call against the North Stars.
Well, you saw Al McAdam trying to catch up to Radicalio there. He did not want to force a face-off in his own end. They're pulling out all the stops right now. They're not saving it for anything. They've got to win this in order to get into the finals, and they're making sure that they're giving it every honest effort they've got. Number one. This place is going to be pandemonium after this game, and as we hopefully advance into the finals.
Off the face-off, puck stayed in the North Star zone, but now it takes a ride down to the Calgary end. Back to get it, Radicalio. And again, icing called against Minnesota with 2 minutes and 7 seconds left. We'll be keeping an eye on Pat Riggin in the nets tonight for the Calgary Flames as to when he will make that skate to the bench, because I'm sure they'll pull him for the extra tech. Calgary must win. If they lose, it's not exactly springtime in Alberta. They can go home and shovel the snow.
That's true, they can.
Right off the face-off to get an idea why you don't want face-offs in your own zone. Radicalio now. Shot was knocked down. Now McAdam pokes it out to center. Payne is after it, along with Reinhardt, who knocks it away. Now picked up by Plett. Plett dropping it off for Reinhardt as a minute 50 seconds to go. The Stars that far away from the Stanley Cup Finals. In goes Kent Nilsson. Nilsson dropping it back now. A shot by Schweenar. That goes wide. Up with the puck is Brad Maxwell, playing it off the glass. Stars trying to get it out. Russell keeps it in, off for Kent Nilsson. Now Nilsson for the Calgary Flames. Cutting in on a backhand, out for Russell. Stopped by Melange. Plett takes a whack at it, and that was stopped. Flames came close to getting within one. Now Steve Kristoff out to center ice with Palmer. Minute 23 to go. Palmer across the line, takes a shot. He scores! Brad Palmer let it rip. I think that went right through the net.
I believe it did too. It went right through. But it was definitely in. The goal judge signal the goal by turning on that red light, and boy, as he fired a couple of key shots here tonight. Look at this. Look what he puts into it, and bingo. Giving Minnesota a 5-2 lead. That goal comes at 18:40. Watch this. It's through. You can see the net move, and it went right through, and the maintenance people here now are at the net of the Calgary Flames trying to find out where it went through, but it definitely was a goal. That's Palmer's 7th goal of the playoff series. 2 key goals here tonight.
So there's a minute 20 seconds left. The Stars will be in the 1981 Stanley Cup Finals. That will begin on Tuesday night. Broadcast time 7 o'clock here on Channel 9 from Uniondale, Long Island. The defending Cup champion New York Islanders and the North Stars in the pursuit of Lord Stanley's mug. 7 o'clock Tuesday, 7 o'clock on Thursday, and then back here at the Met for game number 3 next Sunday night at 7:30. Tickets for the first 2 games, that game Sunday and the game Tuesday night, May 19th, will go on sale Monday morning at 9:30, and they'll be lettered L and M. Here come the Stars again. Kristoff coming across the line, takes a shot. That was knocked down by Russell, and play remains in the Calgary zone as it's whistled down by Van Helleman. And before we get the handshake at the end, we're going to get a few punches in. Not really. Tommy Reed going down to be part of the celebration with a minute and 9 seconds to go. We hope to get our camera in the locker room. There is Dino the Dinosaur. He is urging on the faithful here at the Met, not that they need any urging. Face-off will go to the left of the Calgary goal, occupied by Reagan. 5-2 for the Stars. Off the face-off, kept in now by Maxwell. Picked off by Schweenar. Schweenar trying to play it out and does to center ice, off for McMillan. Now McMillan sending it off for Murdoch. Murdoch goes across the line, 57 seconds to go in the game. The Calgary net is now empty as they're doing everything to pull this one out. They're down 5-2, though, here in Game 6. They trail in Game 3-2. The Stars with a 5-2 lead, 45 seconds remain. Houston takes a whack at it, comes out in front. Lever knocked it in with a stick. I thought it was a high stick, but apparently not. The red light is on, and that would make it a 5-3 game as Maxwell now exchanging words down there with Phil Russell. And Houston wants to have a go at Maxwell. Maxwell seems willing. And the linesman, Ron Finn and Kevin Collins, getting between them. So it's now 5-3. I think Lever knocked it in. Apparently the stick was not over his shoulder. It comes at 19:20. Makes it a 5-3 game. And, of course, the Calgary net will stay empty. There's the goal. Lever like the wood chopper there. And for Don Lever, that's his first goal tonight. And for Lever, that is his 4th goal of the playoffs. If we look at Al McNeil, there's Brad Maxwell on the Minnesota bench. Crowd chanting goodbye to Calgary. Calgary has 40 seconds left. Riggin is back in the goal. And now Russell playing it into the Minnesota end over the top of Malash. And it goes to the corner. Houston bumped over there by Gordy Roberts. Digging at the puck is Schweenar. Now Bobby Smith comes up with it. Plays it to the corner. McMillan centering pass was stopped by Al McAdam. The clock down to 24 seconds to go. We'll get the face-off now coming up to the right of Gilles Malash. 21 seconds on the clock. The Calgary net, which has been occupied much of the night by Pat Reagan, is empty. Gilles Malash with a 7-3 playoff record, about to win his 8th game, and you can see the beginnings of a big party here at the Met tonight. Lever from Houston and Schweenar, the time of the goal 19:20, making it a 5-3 game. It is going to be a big Saturday in downtown Bloomington. The North Stars eliminating the Boston Bruins before their home crowd, eliminated Buffalo on the road, and will eliminate Calgary here before the faithful again at the Met. Russell fighting to keep it in for the Calgary Flames. Clock is down to 14 seconds. You can see it there on the screen. And someone directed it ahead with a hand pass. Hard to see at the Met. Everybody is standing. Tommy Reed somewhere in among the 15,784. I don't know if we'll get him back alive, but I'm sure he'll find his way through somehow. Young and old enjoying themselves. Carlson and Hartsburg beginning the high five. And the clock continuing to run down. Calgary clearing it in. Houston goes to the corner, clears it in one side, the crease, out the other. And that is the end of the game. The North Stars are in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time ever in the 14-year history of the franchise. The North Stars of the New York Islanders will begin play Tuesday night at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, Long Island. Game 1, 7 o'clock Twin Cities time. Game 2 on Thursday night, 7 o'clock Twin Cities time. And then next Sunday, May the 17th, the Stars are home for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. The fourth game also scheduled here at the Met for May the 19th, a Tuesday night. Tickets for those two games go on sale Monday morning at 9:30. The Calgary Flames never quit. They battled the Stars right to the end. And Calgary had quite a playoff series for itself as well, as we look there at Malash, who has been the big gun in the goal for the North Stars since these playoffs began back April the 8th in Boston. The Stars lining up along with the Calgary Flames. And Calgary will take the ride home tonight on their charter flight. And for them, the season is over. And for the North Stars, in a sense, it's just beginning because they are going to have a rough one. The defending Cup champion New York Islanders, who have been playing out of their tree from what we're told out east. And you can bet they'll be ready for the North Stars come Tuesday night in Game 1 in New York. They'll be around here for quite a while, the crowd will. Think back just a couple of years ago before that merger, the North Stars had the worst record in the National Hockey League. Lou Nanne retired as a player, took over as coach, then became general manager. There's the trainer, Doc Rose, Tommy Younghands down there. And the Stars merged with the Cleveland team. Louis remained as general manager and gradually just about replaced the entire roster. Gary Sargent, Muzz Oliver, Glenn Sonmore, they're all happy, and well they might be, as Lou Nanne has built himself a powerhouse here in Minnesota. So the Stars are going to the Stanley Cup Finals, and we'll be back with more of the celebration. Tonight's broadcast comes your way from the Met.
To make it in football, you got to build those muscles up. And to make it in life, you got to build those savings up. Saving at TCF sure puts muscle in my future. And my money is backed by all that TCF strength and experience. Yes, sir, TCF helps me save with all its might. Hey, quit kicking sand in my face.
You talking to me, buddy?
No, sir.
I hope not.
This Bud's for everyone who wraps it, stacks it, and sacks it. This Bud's for you. For
years is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
We take the nut very seriously at the Fisher Nut Company. We take peanuts and pecans, Brazils and cashews. It's how we roast them that makes them good as can be at the Fisher Nut Company.
At Fisher, we take the nut very seriously.
Stop and think about how many things you have in your home that are run by electricity. We all use a lot of electricity in a lot of different ways. And the thing to remember is use it wisely, because it all adds up.
Bob Kurtz and Tom Reed back here at the deliriously happy Met Center, where the North Stars have advanced to the Stanley Cup playoffs, the final round, by eliminating the Calgary Flames 4-2, winning out here tonight by a score of 5-3. Down by the North Star dressing room stands that old North Star himself, Tom Reed. Tommy?
And I'll tell you, Bob, what a great feeling it is to be down here, and we're with one of the stars, certainly, of this game, and everyone was a star tonight, whether it was Brad Palmer. Brad, what a great feeling it's got to be for you to score a couple of those goals.
It's thrilling. It's just something I wouldn't never think of doing in a final game to beat out a team, but it's exciting for that. I think the whole team deserves all the credit that the reason why I scored those 2 goals, I think the team deserves all the credit.
Well, that's great. This has been a team effort. You can hear the noise in here behind me. And, Brad, when you came down there, especially that shorthanded goal, really seemed to put the icing on the cake for the North Stars. You've been touted all year long as having the shot that we've been looking for in the National Hockey League. You've gone from playing junior, now you're in the finals of the Stanley Cup. How do you feel personally?
Well, very excited. I heard today that my junior team was knocked out of the Memorial Cup, so I figured, well, they can't get me a ring, so I'm going to see, we have to do what we can to get a ring here. So I'm very happy to be still, going into the final Stanley Cup series, so it's a great feeling right now.
Well, it is a great feeling, and of course, we don't get too much of time off here. Now the North Stars are going against the Islanders. Has there been any talk at all so far of the Islander series, or have you basically been just concentrating on this series?
We haven't thought about the Islanders at all. We knew that it'd be tough against Calgary, and we couldn't really think about anything else. We had to just worry about Calgary at the time. Now we can really start worrying about the Islanders, and I think we'll take one game at a time.
Okay, well, we know you want to get amongst the other players here. I'm going to grab some of the other fellas. Thank you, Brad, for taking time. Greg, could you come over here? I'm trying to get some of these guys in here. We'll keep these camera shots quickly as high. All right, let's see if I can get somebody else in here. J.P. Parisi. Jean-Paul. Get the guys, he says. Okay, well, we're trying to get some guys in here. Steve Kristoff, you come over here for a second. Zach Rose told Steve to say something intelligent. Well, I don't know. Steve, what a great year it's been, and you guys have just got to be so excited.
Oh, yeah. Going into finals now. Looks good for us.
Any time in this game tonight, did you have the feeling that Calgary was going to bounce back and perhaps make it a little bit more of a contest?
Well, we got ahead each period, 1-0, 2-1, and I thought we had a momentum going. They thought they had it last game, and I thought we had it this game. It was a whole total team effort there, and we came out on top. That's all that matters to us. We're going to New York now.
Okay, we don't get much of a rest now going against the Islanders. Is that going to affect this team at all?
Oh, I don't think so. It's just we didn't get that tired out this series. It wasn't that. I thought it was a draining series, but I don't think we're drained. We started playing better this game, I think, than we have been all series. I don't think we had to play our best game against Calgary to win this, but we're going to play our best game against New York, I think, to beat them.
Well, that's what it's going to take to beat them. We've got to play well. And we just, we want to wish you all the best. We're down here in the North Star dressing room. The North Stars have just entered the finals of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we're going to go back upstairs to Bob Kurtz.
Okay, thank you, Tommy. The shots on goal that period were even, 11 aside. The Stars out shooting the Flames for the game, 35-26. And outscoring Calgary 5-3 to advance to the 1981 Stanley Cup Finals. They will meet the defending Cup champion New York Islanders again in Uniondale, Long Island on Tuesday night. I suppose if you're going to win the Cup, that's what you want to do. You want to beat the team that held the Cup the year before. And the Islanders are playing extremely well. They have eliminated the Toronto Maple Leafs. They took care of Wayne Gretzky and the Edmonton Oilers, and then eliminated the New York Rangers in 4 straight games in a series that a lot of people thought was going to perhaps go 6 or 7 games. The Islanders would be involved in an emotional battle. Well, they may have been involved in an emotional battle, but they won it 4 straight. They are playing great hockey. Their power play is averaging 40%, and the North Stars are going to have to be every bit as good as they possibly can be to be on their toes against the New York Islanders coming up Tuesday. But right now, the Stars just want to sit back and savor this victory over the Calgary Flames. They eliminate the Flames in 6 games by beating Calgary out here tonight by a score of 5-2. So for Jim Moline in the truck, Hank Golden back at the studios, Tom Reed down in the dressing room having all the fun, and me up here in the broadcast booth. Good night from the Met. Once again, our final score tonight, the North Stars 5 and the Calgary Flames 3, and it is on to New York and the 1981
Stanley Cup Finals. Good night from
Met.
So you want one of those new small copiers. Make sure it has fiber optics and a microprocessor. You got it. Anything else?
What about fast first copy time and diagnostic life?
Picky. Two-sided copy. Coming up, and
Hold on! Can't one copier do all this?
only the new 7840. Even all these copiers can't equal the small, reliable 7840. Because the 7840 is the first small copier to do it all.
CDP says go for the Cup, North Stars.
Sunday afternoon at 2, an inept magician travels to the Far East with disastrous consequences.
For the first time in my life, we will produce a genie. Pure 100%.
Jerry Lewis is aghast as the Geisha Boy, Sunday afternoon at 2 on Channel 9.
Consideration furnished by Seiko, a quartz watch from Seiko, who feature dress and sporty watches. Featured at the Perna Jewelers in Southdale, Brookdale, and Burnhaven. This has been the Stanley Cup semifinals with the Minnesota North Stars and the Calgary Flames. Brought to you by the largest savings institution in our part of the country, Twin City Federal, now more than $2 billion strong. The Metropolitan Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers. We're on the move with a stunning lineup of gas-stingy 81 Chevys. We're your Metropolitan Twin Cities Chevrolet dealers. And by Natural Light Beer, brewed with only natural ingredients for a smooth, clean taste. Natural Light.
Taste is why you...
This has been a Channel 9 sports presentation.
Hello. I was a dedicated blade shaver till my wife bought me this Remington microscreen shaver because it would shave as close as a blade or your money back. The first microscreen is so thin it shaves incredibly close. The second, even closer. And Remington's American-made. It costs less. Norelco's imported. It costs much more. I was so impressed, I bought the company. The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade, or I'll give you your money back.
Remington's gift to the bearded North Stars. Go for the Cup, North Stars.
The last time I cleaned the carpets, my house turned into a disaster area. This time, I called the professionals from Steamatic. They clean all kinds of carpets right in your home, even mine. In just hours, Steamatic cleaned all the dirt and yuck from these wonderful carpets. Beautiful. I had no idea this was a shag.
Call now for 20% off carpet cleaning.